Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Make sure we're good to go here. Alright, guys, so today I'm going to be showing off a Golgari Reanimator deck using Valgavoth, the Terror Eater, in Standard, and going over complete, rundown of the deck profile, and then also getting into some matches to repurpose that for a video probably sometime this weekend. And then in about 2 hours, we have the World Championship live stream from Wizards. And they're going to be starting off with the drafting portion. So I'm going to try to do a live review of those drafts, talk about the picks, see what these people are drafting. And hopefully we have enough time for all the rounds of drafts. I have a job to do tonight to make a video for someone else. So depending on how long that is, I may have to leave a little bit before that. But we'll definitely continue with the second draft tomorrow. I'm unsure whether that one will be live or not because I need to be working on the fence. But we're just going to see how long this takes. But I'm pretty excited for that because, I find that very interesting, the decision-making process of what people want to take in, a high-level pod versus, online. Because also there's just certain decisions you would only make in person because, you're playing against those people. And I find that very intriguing. Stuff like Pyroclasm is a card that I just don't think is very good. But when you're in red-white or you're in red-green, you have a lot of Manifest Dread bodies, that's actually a card that I would value somewhat highly if it's late in the pack, just because I don't want someone else to have that card to use against me. There's a lot of intricacies like that, and I'm interested to see how that'll plan out. But we're going to start off with this Golgari deck and try to get through as many games as possible. All right, here is the deck we're going to be playing today. This is Golgari Reanimator or Valgoth Terror Eater Turbo, and this is the deck that has really gotten me back into playing some constructed Magic for many reasons. And I'm just going to go through it card by card before we hop into these games. So first off, the entire game plan of this deck is to utilize Valgoth Terror Eater and Overlord of the Bale Merc, as well as Valgoth's Faithful, to just continuously create a cycle of advantage to attrition out our opponent. Valgoth Terror Eater is in some ways actually better than Atraxa. If you're not familiar with Atraxa, it is the 5-colored 7/7 first strike, all those keywords, and adds 6 cards to your hands. The reason I like this card actually better than that card is because the biggest advantage to this deck, in my opinion, is that it's very difficult to interact with, at least in the first game. Not a lot of people have ways to interact with the graveyard in Standard in game 1, and even when they are able to exile your graveyard, it's very easy to replenish the grave and continue the loop. So there's nothing that really hard beats us. And before we get to getting out our big guys, we're kind of just dirtling around to get into the late game. So it makes a lot of our opponents early interaction spells very dead, because something like Torch the Tower, the 1 red spell, deal 2 damage or 3 if you sack something, really has no good targets in our deck because we just don't have early creatures. But Valgoth Terror Eater is a 9-mana 9/9 flying lifelink ward. Your opponent must sacrifice 3 permanents in order to target this card. And if any card in your opponent's possession would be put into the grave, it is an exile instead. And then during your turn, you can play any of the cards that were exiled from your opponent's possession by paying life instead of paying that mana cost. And that is actually quite relevant. Typically, if you're able to get this card out at least by, turn 5, most decks don't have a way to answer this card, and if they do, it's going to take up all of their resources, or if they're playing aggro because the meta is very fast, they're just going to die or quit out because this card has lifelink, and they just know they're not going to be able to win the game from there on out. So the entire game plan of this deck is to utilize the mill cards that are available in Standard to set up our graveyard to be able to revive Valgoth Terror Reader and the Swarm Weaver. Swarm Weaver is another really cool card because it's especially good against decks like the aggro Gruul deck, the one that uses all of the Slick Shot show-offs, the prowess cards, because this card gives you 2 1/1 flying tokens that then become 2/2 with Death Touch if you have Delirium. And it just allows you to get 3 bodies that are all respectable chump blocks for a very low price. And so I've been very surprised at how good this card is. It's also an artifact creature, which is relevant for hitting Delirium. And one other thing to note here is that Altenac, the Thrice Called, is as well an insect, which means that if you have this on the field, Altenac becomes a 10/10 Death Touch trample. So that's pretty relevant because very often it means this card is going to guarantee at least 8 damage to your opponent's face. And that's going to be one of the main ways you can actually end the game. And one last card that I put in the deck to be able to reanimate is the Harvester of Misery. This is a card that I'm testing out. Before this, I was playing Terror Tide, which is the 4 mana, give everything -X equal to the amount of permanents in your graveyard. But I decided to try this out because I think one advantage this deck has is that it just is very rewarding to play as many creature cards that fill up the role players in your deck as possible, since we have a lot of ways to put things in the graveyard and easily re-buy them. I wanted to try this one out and see if it might be a little bit better, but this card is kind of a malicious Eclipse in a way, but it's more synergistic with the deck because it's a creature. So the way that we're putting the cards in the graveyard are 11 mill spells here. We have 4 Overlord of the Balemork, 4 Sage's Name, and 3 Cash Grab. I was previously playing 4 Cash Grab, but I wanted to make room for another card that I'm going to talk about in a minute, and I just felt like Cash Grab was arguably the weakest one. And when I did the percentages on a hypergeometric calculator, it is a 78% chance for us to open up with a mill card in our opening hand without us mulliganing. And if you're playing 12, it goes up to about 80%, which really is just not a big difference to be able to play an additional card that is going to allow us to slow down our opponent. Because one thing I'll say about these mill cards is the first one is very beneficial. The second one is also pretty beneficial. The issue is a lot of the decks that are good right now are very fast, and so sometimes you don't have the time to be able to play your like second or third mill effect, and you have to be interacting with the other player instead of doing that. So I felt like I'd rather just have another card that I could play earlier in the game to get us into the late game. But Overlord is definitely the best one. This guy allows you to mill 4 if you impend it on turn 2, which is really, really insane because not only are you getting to add back any creature in 5 turns, if you're doing it on turn 2, 4 turns, because it's the end of every turn, you're just going to get a 5/5 blocker, which is going to make it difficult for your opponent to answer something if you're doing stuff like, okay, I summon an Altenac, and then I'm also getting this back during the end step. It just adds more bodies onto the board that make the game state more complicated for your opponent to answer. And like, if this was just a sorcery card, we'd probably still be playing it as well. So the fact that like we just get something for free in addition to that makes it the best one. And then say its name, this one can also add back a land, not just a creature. And it only mills 3 cards, but the difference is if you get 3 copies of this into the graveyard, you can exile all of them and then go take an Altenac out of your deck. Or your graveyard or your hand and put it on the battlefield for free. And so that actually comes up quite a bit. So even though it's not sending 4 cards to the graveyard like these 2 other cards, that implication is actually just very applicable because you're milling so many cards, not just with this effect, that if you're able to go like Valgoth Terror Reader and establish an Altenac in the same turn or a Swarm Weaver, it's really the ability to put 2 big threats on the field in one turn that puts your opponent in almost like a checkmate position. And like you could just hit this out of nowhere. Like I've summoned an Ultinac on turn 3 of the game before. It can happen. You know, there's a lot of ways to mill your deck, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. Cash Grab can also play a land card, and it's also an instant, which is nice, I guess you could say, because then you can hold up a removal spell on your opponent's turn. If they don't do anything, then you can still activate this. But I just feel like this one was the worst one because, like, this guy's a creature. He also mills 4, and he's 2 types for Delirium. And then this one has the Ultinac synergy. But this one is just kind of like the one I would least likely to draw, so I wanted to cut down on 1. You could probably put it back up to 4, but I just wanted to try something new and just have more utility to have a card that slows down the game. But so you really just want to open up with like 1 of these. If you open up with 2, it's okay, but like if you open any more of that, it feels kind of bad. Honestly, like this guy is the most important to get down early because of the impend effect. And it's also just extremely relevant with the next chart I'm just talking about, Valgoth's Faithful, because this is like a continuous loop. So if you activate this card and mill the Valgoth's Faithful, if you don't have a Valgoth Terror Eater in the graveyard and you just revive back the Overlord of the Baelmerk, then you can activate his effect, add back the Valgoth's Faithful to your hand, and just keep doing that loop over and over again. And so that kind of makes this the best one. Oh, I also wanted to mention one last thing about Cash Grab that I forgot. So the card that you add back to your hand can only be among the 4 cards that you just milled. So even though it's 1 more card you're seeing than Saint's Name, that actually really hurts because a lot of times with your mill cards, you need to hit your 5th land for this Valgoth's Faithful, and you need it to be an untapped land in order to be able to revive your Terror Eater on turn 5, or you're just going to like die. And so like if you mill 4 cards and a land isn't among them, that could actually just stop you from winning the game. And that was something that came up quite a bit. But yeah, the Valgoth's Faithful is really like our primary way we're going to be buying stuff back from the grave. You get back your Swarm Weaver, you get back your Overlord, you get back your Terror Eater. Typically, if you get back a Terror Eater, you're probably just winning the game. So the Swarm Weaver and the Overlord are kind of just there to buy back until you can access this card. But we don't want to run more than 2 copies of this because it's just very difficult to get out of your hands sometimes. Like the first one you can probably get rid of. But even some decks where they're not putting anything on the board, it can be difficult to discard this. And then we also have 2 copies of Squirming Emergence. That's like the other way we can get something back from the grave. This card is pretty good, but you don't want to play more than 2 of these, I don't think. Number 1, because it's tutorable, but number 2, because sometimes you're just going to be unlucky with mills, and this isn't always going to be live. So, like, having multiple is pretty bad. In the, like, late game, like turn 7 onward, you can probably afford to buy back a Terror Eater. But if you don't have 9 permanents, you're not going to be able to get that back. And when you're doing things like you cash grab and then you add back the land that you see, that's taking a permanent out of the graveyard, which does come up. So I just don't think you want to brick on this card, but it is probably the most mana efficient reanimate spell we have access to in standard. And so I do want to capitalize on that. And then I'm also teching 1 copy of Walk-In Closet Forgotten Cellar. This card is actually very, very nice because you're milling so much and you just want to keep getting lands because you're always going to have things to be doing since you like never run out of gas. So like in the more grindy matchups, the Walk-In Closet becomes an alternative win condition. And one thing that I really like about this deck is it allows us to play a bunch of utility one-ofs to search out of our deck because of this new card here, Demonic Council. This is essentially a Demonic Tutor if you have Delirium, and if not, it adds a Valgoth the Terror Eater. But it's very easy for us to put Delirium into the graveyard, especially with cards like Overlord and Swarmweaver that count as 2 types. So I have very often been able to turn this card on by turn 3. And it just adds so much utility to the deck because if you're in like a grindy situation, you can get your Walk-In Closet Forgotten Cellar. If you need an AoE, you can get a Harvester of the Misery or like one of your side deck cards as well. Like the deck benefits heavily from one of utility cards in the side deck in the more grindy matchups. But you can go grab like a Malicious Eclipse, and if they're playing like a go wide token deck, I mean that's still 5 mana AoE, which is like the same cost as somebody who's playing a Sunfall, right? Maybe not as efficient, but just that added utility makes this card amazing. And it also can allow you to add the Terror Eater, which you mainly really only want to do if you have one of our 6 pieces of removal here. Bitter Triumph. I mean, this card has just been really good in Pioneer. It's insane in Grixis Phoenix, and it's just as good here. Can allow you to discard your Terror Eater, discard your Swarmweaver, and you just get back a lot of free cards with stuff like the Overlord. Like, very frequently, you'll just end up with, like, a bunch of Valgoth Faithfuls in your hand because you're looping them. So, like, you almost always have a discard outlet for this, and it's probably just one of the most versatile pieces of interaction in the format. Especially for black. And then we also have 2 copies of Drag to the Roots, which honestly I could see you playing more than 2 copies of this because this card just answers such a wide array of threats. Like, very often my opponent will have a Planeswalker and they're just like not developing creatures. So then I have like my Bitter Triumph stuck in my hand or my Valgoth Terror Eater. And because we're hitting Delirium so frequently, just the added utility of blowing up the Elspeth Planeswalker, which is just super, super popular, or even an Up the Beanstalk early versus the Domain decks. Like, this card is just super clutch. The reason I'm not playing more than 2 is just because there's a lot of fast decks in the meta, and I feel like sometimes it can be too slow. Sometimes you need to actually, like, interact with your opponent before you're able to get Delirium in the grave. So I don't want to see too many of these, but the first one is pretty valuable. And the added utility of being able to search it, it just goes such a long way. And then also, it's important to note that with those cards, you can very easily, if you're like interacting with the other player, AoE them once, remove their stuff once, or you just play like a Valgoth and they sack 3 things, it kind of just resets the game. You can very often use the Forgotten Cellar to just like buy back one of those effects. You know, whenever I was playing this card, Terror Tide, I very frequently would go like Forgotten Cellar, buy back the Terror Tide. Like, that ability does come up more than you think because you can search that card. So whenever you need it, you're going to have it. And I think it just adds a lot of optionality to this deck. And then also, I'm playing 4 copies of Fountain Portobello. It allows us to get away with playing less lands, and it also just fills an important role in the deck, being an artifact for both Delirium and also for the Fathomless Descent of the Squirming Emergence. Or if you're side decking in like the Terror Tide, or if you're main decking the Terror Tide, it counts for that too. But this card is actually more clutch than I thought it would be, because like I said earlier, it's really important when you're on like turn 4, turn 5, going into those turns, to be able to have access to an untapped land in order to pay for your reanimation effects. Or maybe you have like a Squirming Emergence and you have like Bitter Triumph plus Valgoth Terror Eater, and you need to be able to play both of these cards to reanimate that turn. If you draw into a tapped land, you're just screwed. Like, you're not gonna, because like usually the turn that you reanimate, you're either dying if you can't do that or winning the game because you did do that. And so I just feel like this card is really important because getting an untapped land is the difference between you winning or losing the game. And then the last card here, this is the card that caused me to take out a cash grab, Duress. The reason I decided to put this in, I'm not 100% sold on it yet, but the main counter matchup to this deck is the Domain deck, because Sunfall is probably the best answer to our Valgoth Terror Eater. And if they're going to have cards like that in their hand, like very frequently they go like Up the Beanstalk, draw a bunch of cards, maybe they get access to 2 Sunfalls, you're just not winning the game. And one thing that I've been learning about this deck, the more and more I play, is your turn 3 is very, very awkward, because you're really just looking to play these like 2-costed cards, or even your turn 5 play if you don't have a Valgoth's Faithful to do. You very frequently will just end up with 1 additional mana. And so I wanted to have another 1 mana card that would allow us to get rid of those cards that can allow our opponent to out the Terror Eater, because a lot of decks, if they even have an out to the Terror Eater, they're probably only going to have like 1 card that interacts like effectively against this card in their deck, like maybe 2. And so if you take that 1 copy out of their hand, it basically just removes their outs and just kind of confirms our win condition. And because like we're playing with a lot of like even costed cards, oftentimes you have that 1 mana up to use this. And so I wanted to try it out in the main deck because in the side deck it was pretty good. And also it's not even dead versus aggro right now because the prowess deck is like really, really popular. And sometimes if you're stealing like the prowess enabler in their hand, like the monstrous rage, they could just have like a terrible hand at that point, and it's going to slow them down enough for you to just take over the game and cause your opponent to concede. So I think this card is really good, and I think I want to main deck some amount of copies, but we're going to try out 3 for now. I have 1 more in the side deck. And then for the lands here, we're playing 20 lands. Because we have access to the 4 Fountain Port Bell, and we have 11 cards that, dig into our deck to find the lands, we can buy them back with the Walking Closet, or you can buy them back with the Altanac. I just don't think you really need any more. So we're playing 8. So we're playing 8 basics, 4 Blooming Marsh, 4 Llanowar Waste, and then 4 copies of the Green-Black Surveil land. I was playing the Cottage. I was playing the Restless Cottage, which is the Golgari land from Wilds of Eldraine that can animate itself into a 4/4, and whenever it attacks, you get to create a food token. But after playing with that card, I just realized how prohibitive it is to the deck to be drawing a tapped land in the late game. And I also just realized that, like, the grind game on this deck is so insane, and it's very difficult to interact with, to where in the more grindy matchups, I never was put in a situation where I actually wanted to animate the Cottage, because you just always have things to be doing in the late game, since there's so many ways to just loop your graveyard as your second hand. I just didn't feel like it really benefited the deck in any way. So I decided to take those out, but like you could definitely play a copy or 2. I just wanted to minimize the amount of tapped lands in the deck, because I do think 4 copies of this Surveil land is necessary, just because this card can set up your Delirium, or like a lot of times what will happen is I'll have a Valgoth's Faithful and I can revive like an Overlord of the Baelmerk, and I have a tapped land in my hand, so it's not going to be able to change what I can play this turn. But because that 1 additional Surveil allowed me to send Valgoth Terror Eater to the graveyard, it just drastically changed the game, because now I'm reanimating a 9-mana card versus a 5-mana card, and, arguably the best card to be reanimating in this deck specifically. So I just think this card is necessary, and as well, Blooming Marsh is probably the second best premium dual land. And very often, if you have a Blooming Marsh, you can always just be screwed by that in the late game too. So I just don't feel like the Restless Cottage is necessary. Now I'm going to briefly go over the side deck, but this is not perfect. You could definitely change quite a few things as I'm just testing things out. But one thing here that I think is absolutely necessary is Malicious Eclipse. This is probably the best card to go up against all of the aggro token decks that use like Enduring Innocence, because this card exiles all of those cards. So I think this card is just really important to have in any black deck in this meta, as long as it's not prohibitive to your game plan. One thing important to note about this card, though, is that it does take priority over Valgavoth. So if you activate this card with Valgavoth on the field, you're not going to be able to exile those cards with Valgavoth, which means you're not going to be able to replay them onto your side of the battlefield. So that is important to be aware of when you are playing this card. So I think 3 of these is mandatory. And then Tranquil Frillback is one that I'm trying out. There are other ways to interact with enchantments, or there are other ways to interact with artifact, enchantment, or the other player's graveyard that you could consider to be more mana efficient. But the reason why I'm trying this one out is because it is a creature, and like I've addressed, there are just a lot of synergies with your cards that are creatures which do the same thing as other cards that are instant sorceries, because we can more easily access this card, we can revive it from the graveyard, we can reuse it. And so I think this card is actually like pretty decent. You know, it's also one that's super likely for you to be able to get back from the graveyard with Emergence early, since it's only going to cost you a total of 3 permanents in the graveyard, which is almost just guaranteed. And then I'm also playing one Deadly Cover-Up. You know, this card is kind of similar to Terror Tide, but this one is better if your opponent has something in the graveyard that you just want to get rid of forever. One instance I had was my opponent was playing like a red-black aggressive deck, and they were playing Disturbing Mirth, and I exiled it from their graveyard and exiled like multiple copies from their hand and their deck. And so this card can be good once you know what your opponent is doing. I was previously main decking a copy of this, but then that became a Terror Tide, and then most recently became a Harvester of Misery. So I just wanted to side deck it because, like I said, this deck takes advantage very well of utility one of, since you have the Demonic Council to tutor anything in your deck. And then I also have the 4th Duress, and then I'm playing a Terror Tide. I like Terror Tide in most matchups where your opponent's graveyard doesn't really matter, more so than the Deadly Cover-Up, because there are times that I ran into where I was main decking the Cover-Up and I had a Demonic Council and I was like, oh damn, I only have 6 mana, I can't like search this out and use it, I just lose. And also, likewise, when I had the Walk-in Closet Forgotten Cellar, when I had that card in the graveyard, I would get to 9 mana, and then I just couldn't play it, but I could play the Terror Tide. And also, like, this card gets around indestructible effects because it doesn't destroy, so that is kind of cool. And then I'm also side decking 2 copies of Drag to the Roots to give us 4 total copies. I mean, you'll know when to put this in. In some situations, this is going to be better than the Tranquil Frillback. Most frequently, I'm using this to counter Planeswalkers because the White Elspeth is just like really, really popular right now. And that deck, in my experience, spends the several first turns of the game sometimes just not developing the board. So your Bitter Triumph may not be like live immediately, whereas like this is almost always live. And I've just found the versatility of this card to be very high, and I've found it to be super easy to get Delirium early. So I think this is probably my favorite card in the deck. And then also, I'm playing a Virtue of Persistence. This card is okay. I was main decking this before, and then I took it out. It's really good if you're going against Prowess, just because the life is very important. But it is also good to know that this is a permanent spell, which can be relevant when you're milling with, like, Cash Grab specifically, because that adds back any permanent card, not just a creature or land, like Say Its Name or Overlord of the Baelmerk. So you can add this card off of those. But I just thought, I just felt like I wanted to make more room for Duress. And since I'm going down to 3 Cash Grab instead of 4, I just wanted to put this in the side deck. And then I also just have like a Nissa Ascended Animist as just another like utility card to search out. Sometimes the Trample is going to be relevant in certain matchups. And you know, just having the additional utility in a grindy matchup is pretty good. One card that I saw some people playing was Ren and 7, I think. Or what is it called? Yeah, so I saw some people playing this card, Ren and Realm Breaker, in the side deck. I think this could be good. I just feel like it's kind of redundant because there are other cards in the deck that kind of do the same thing. Like, you can replay lands with your Walk-in Closet Forgotten Cellar, and I just don't feel like creating 3/3 tokens is, like, really that great. So I'm not playing that card, but that's definitely something you could try out. But that's the deck. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with this. Maybe we'll change it along the way, but let's go ahead and hop into these games. Deadly Cover-Up is also crazy if your opponent is playing 9 Nazguls. What is Nazgul? I don't know what that is. Is that like a real deck? Or is that like a meme deck? Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's not popping up. Is that one of those cards that you can play like unlimited copies? Oh, it might not be in standard anymore. Yeah, I don't think it is in standard. I think I know what you're talking about, though. But yeah, if your opponent has something like... I think, like, in my experience, since I mainly play Timeless, or... I don't really play Historic, mainly just Timeless, is if you're going against Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury, removing that card from the grave is just so pivotal. I need to cancel. I need to cancel. Cancel, cancel. No, 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 no. I wanted to start out in best of 3. You can play 9 in Commander? That's crazy. Okay, sorry. I was trying to play best 2 out of 3. We're going to try to get through at least 2 matches. The Magic stream starts in 30 minutes, but I don't know if that's going to mean that it's going to start immediately. Oftentimes, they have you sitting around, so I'll just have to monitor it. And if the drafting is, like, already started when we swap over, we'll just, like, play it back by, like, 5 minutes. Because I want to get through at least, like, 2 matches. Alright, match number 1. Starting off on the play here. So this is kind of what I'm looking to open with in this deck. We have a Fountain Port Bell, which starts Delirium off, and then on turn 2, we have an Overlord of the Baelmork to mill 4. So I think I'm going to keep this hand. Since we already have 3 lands, the Fountain Port is kind of negligible, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and drop down the Fountain Port and not use the effect. It does feel kind of bad when you play the Overlord on 2 and you don't hit a creature. But at the same time, I think this is still the best one to activate immediately. Because there is, like, some argument to say if you have Overlord and, like, Cash Grab, play Cash Grab first to guarantee a creature in the yard. I think this is legitimately the best thing to do on turn 2. Because if you're impending this past turn 2, the game may not go on long enough for you to be able to get it out for free. And we have Valgoth's Faithful and another Overlord, so that's a pretty ideal mill here for us. I will say there's also some situations where, based on your hand, maybe you have a Demonic Council, you actually just don't want to add anything back because it could stop you from getting Delirium. And being able to do a turn 2 Demonic Tutor, or turn 3 Demonic Tutor, is very, very nice. So this is one of those situations that I was talking about where it's kind of weird on your 3-mana turn. Like, I could go Fountain Port and then just hold up a Bitter Triumph here. But then I'm waiting on my Underground Mortuary, which just feels kind of bad. We'll see what happens here. Okay, we draw into the Swarm Weaver. That's actually kind of nice. And our opponent just passes. Okay. Play the Llanowar Waste, and we'll just tempo out the Swarm Weaver. And he's just going to cut down the Swarm Weaver. That feels kind of bad, but I can buy it back again. See, what will happen is people will kill the Swarm Weaver, and then they leave you with the tokens, and you just play another one and just get even more tokens with +2/+2. He's gonna play a Shouldered, okay. Well, I think here what I'm gonna do is activate Bitter Triumph, discard a card, kill his Shouldered, and I'm gonna discard the Mortuary here because I need to have 3 mana to go Squirming Vengeance, to go Squirming Emergence. Oh my gosh, that feels so bad.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
We just got rid of the Bitter Triumph and we top deck Valgavoth Terror Eater. That feels terrible. You hate to see it. But that's okay. Let's just revive back the Swarmweaver. I think it was also respectable to buy back the Overlord and then Overlord add back Swarmweaver. But it doesn't matter. That's how you get it done, baby. Okay, so we know this guy's playing a Shouldered. He's playing blue-black control, maybe. This seems like a matchup where we can afford to be very greedy. I do have this Urgent Necroposy, which is like kind of cool because we could destroy his Shouldered and his Liliana of the Veil in one hit, which I assume he's on. I should probably just take out like Harvester of Misery. I don't know that that card is bad against him, but I would probably infer that there's something safer we could put in. He's probably going to be playing the Bat. The Bat is, like, really popular. I think I'm just going to put in Urgent Necroposy. I think he's probably on Golgari mid-range. That's pretty popular right now. Why not Terramorphic Expanse instead of Fountain Port Bell? Sorry, Z. I just saw your message. In my opinion, I think that the artifact is more important because we have cards with Delirium. So, Terramorphic Expanse does not give us an additional type in the graveyard. We're already going to be putting lands in the graveyard. I think you could make an argument for Terramorphic if you wanted to put in an additional copy of Altenac the Thrice Called, because being able to discard Altenac to replay a Terramorphic is pretty good, but I just only want to play one to minimize bricks. Alright, so we have a dead Valgavoth, but we're starting with the Duress, so I think I'm going to keep this hand. He's going turn 1 Evolve Sleeper. Okay, so he is playing Golgari mid-range. Well, let's start off with the Duress here. Oh, I don't know why I said he was playing Golgari mid-range. He's playing blue-black. I'm stupid. I definitely am glad that we took out the Misery guy, because I think that card's terrible here. He has the double blue to be able to play this card, and I think this card is probably better than maybe this card. I don't know. You know what? Maybe we get rid of Don't Make a Sound, actually, because he can't counter our cash grab with Get Out, and I think that's somewhat relevant. Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation. But yeah, I think Duress is really good in the main board right now. I have a feeling that when we watch the World Championship stream, we're going to see that Duress is going to be in the main deck of quite a few people who make it to the final day. Okay, so he played Lazev, Wearer of Faces. When this attacks, exile target card from the graveyard, then investigate. Oh my gosh, that's scary. I, for some reason, didn't read that whenever I looked at his hand, but I just need a Bitter Triumph that immediately. The good thing is we got rid of our Valgoth. The bad thing is he knows we have a Valgoth in the grave, so he's either going to hold up Counter Magic to stop that, or he could top deck another Lazev. Okay, we get another Bitter Triumph. I think I'm just gonna... No, I'm not gonna start off with a Cash Grab. Yeah, let's just play the Fountain Pour Bell. I'm just gonna decline. And we're just gonna pass here. Most likely we're gonna Cash Grab, but there is like a slight chance he's gonna level up his Sleeper on his turn. I thought he could only do that during his turn. I'm kind of stupid. Yeah, I think I'm just going to slow him down. Because right now, his Get Out is kind of dead. I probably should have used Fountain Port to put a basic on the top. I just didn't realize he could use that during our turn. Like I said, this is my first time playing Standard in a while. Ooh, okay. So, can Get Out negate my Impending cost? What is this treated as? Is Impending an ability that... Is this an ability my opponent can't counter as a spell? Or is it a spell and he can counter? I'm not really sure. Either way, I should Cash Grab. Okay, that's kind of nice. Get back to black, and I'm just going to do this. And bait out his Get Out, I guess. Okay. I wasn't sure if you could counter a Impending cost, because I just didn't know how it worked, so that's good to know. But also, the Fountain Port Bell is going to put one in the grave for this, so that's somewhat relevant here. We just need to put one more permanent in the grave, and then this is just online. Okay, we get a Valgoth's Faithful, so I think I'm just going to hold this and pass. If he plays a creature, I can Bitter Triumph, discard the Faithful. Okay, he does not. I get to say its name here. Now remember, if we mill a third say its name, it's just wraps. Okay. I think I'm going to add back the land. Add back the land. Go for the Squirming Emergence. Try to buy back the Overlord. Okay, he's going to 3 steps ahead. Well, that was really scary. Now there is a chance, though, that maybe he won't hold up a counter this turn, and our Valgoth's Faithful will go off. Oh my gosh. Do I duress here first? I think I do. Okay, cool. He has an Urtai. Nice. Oh my gosh. If we would have drawn a land there, that would have been so disgusting. Okay, how many permanents do we have? We have 6. So I obviously just want to do this here. Now I'm going to do something a little cheeky. We'll add the say its name. We'll activate it. Mill 3. And I think we're just going to get back one of these. So if he counters it, he won't realize we have another one. And now we have 3 say its name in the graveyard. See, like, Demonic Council to add say its name is so clutch. Because now we baited out a counter, and we get to search our deck for an Ultinac. Just put it on the battlefield. And even if he answers this, it's going to cost him mana that should just take up his turn. And maybe he can't hold up a counter. Okay, we're gonna draw a card. Cool. Alright, does he have the ability to negate this? He's gonna go for a get out, sure. We'll let that resolve. See, this is why it was super important for us to draw an untapped land. I know I mentioned that in the deck profile, but realize here, if we did not get an untapped land, we would actually not be able to double spell here and buy back the Valgoth Terror Eater. And that just changed the game, because it's very unlikely this guy has an answer to this card in his deck. I don't even think he can potentially pay for the ward cost at all. Oh, he's playing a Ghost Vacuum?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Okay, sure. Now, this is actually really funny. So, at the start of our turn, when we untap, we just go Bitter Triumph on a Shouldered, and then we can replay his Shouldered. I mean, this is basically GG. We get his Shouldered, and that's GG. Let's go. This deck is fun, man. Yeah, just replaying your opponent's cards off of Valgoth Terror Eater is so satisfying, man. This is a deck that, honestly, I think with some more testing, could actually have been good to take to the World Championship, because I really haven't seen anyone else make a video about this deck, or I haven't played against anyone at all. There's like no data for it on Untapped GG or any of the websites. I'll be right back. I need to put some contact solution in, because my eye is like twitching out. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I wanted to find my glasses in case I need to take my contacts out, because the pair I'm using right now is a trial pair given to me by the eye doctor. All right, let's run it. We should have time for at least one more match before the World Championship draft. Dude, we're going against Coco Melon. All right, we got to destroy this person. I hate to say it for all the Coco Melon mind-controlled children out there, but we got to take this person down. Match number 2, start off on the play. We have a duress. I like that. But other than that, we don't really have anything else going on. This is a very slow hand. But I just think duress is like very powerful, considering most decks are fast. I'm willing to keep this hand. Okay, this guy has double Caustic Bronco and Archfiend of Dross. So he's playing Mono Black Demons. That's a pretty popular deck. I've ran into that quite a bit. We get another land, so that's kind of good. Now, I could just go Demonic Council to be able to add the Valgavoth and then try to discard it off of Bitter Triumph. I should probably do that because, like, I don't need to kill his Caustic Bronco right now. That also just, like, puts a card in the graveyard, which I think is pretty important. Okay, we get another land. Nice. We are on pace here. Yeah, I think I'm going to save the Bitter Triumph for his Archfiend of Dross. So let's just do this here. Now, what would really suck is if he top decked into a Bat. I don't know if this deck plays Bat, but that card is really good versus us. Unholy Annex, okay. Alright, well, we are in a position where if we draw another land here, if I Bitter Triumph next turn, I'll be able to revive. You know what? Maybe I actually should just play this, because it guarantees that even without a land, I'll be able to revive. Don't just kill my guy. Don't just kill my guy. He's using a cut down. He's a dirty bread baker. He's a dirty bread baker.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Okay, I draw a Squirming Emergence. I can kind of troll here and like just buy back the Valgavoth's Faithful. I'm going to do that. That at least causes him to spend mana. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to side deck in something to answer this, because that card's just really good against us. Our deck is just super slow. This person is playing this very interestingly. Okay, so I have a Drag to the Roots, which could just kill that. Kind of just want to hold here. He mills a Glissa, okay. Playing the Archfiend of Dross, okay. Okay. Well, I don't really want him to do that. There is a chance I could just get him to die off this Unholy Annex, which would be pretty funny. Okay, that was perfect. Because this is very likely going to turn on our Drag to the Roots. Okay, what are our types here? Sorcery, instant, creature, land. So I can't add back a land. I have to add back a creature. Add back this dude, and we'll just pass. So he has to, like, out his Unholy Annex or play another demon, which most demons are, like, pretty high costed. I guess he could, like, unlock his room. Why did you kill the Dross? The reason I killed the Dross is because this says, at the beginning of your end step, if you control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2. Otherwise, you lose 2. So by killing that demon, I made him continue to take damage instead of healing, which is currently our main way to win the game. Oh my, wait, why is this guy main decking this? What the fuck?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
That's so fucking toxic. What the fuck? Bro, why are you main decking this card? That's so toxic. Okay, he just exiles our entire graveyard. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. Well, I think I just lose because my opponent just main decks a card that hard counters us. I genuinely don't think that card is that good in this guy's deck. Because there's not really any good decks that I would want to have a full graveyard wipe against game 1. Let's go to the next game. Well, that game was looking really good for us until they did that. To be fair, they drew a lot of cards. I do think Duress is pretty good versus this person. I think Duress is very good. So, I guess, like... I think Drag to the Roots is pretty good. This card might be good. This card was okay, but I don't think it's that good. I feel like our deck has a naturally good grind versus this person, so I'm going to take out the walk-in closet. Is there any way I can out this card? Not really. That's just the one card that's like, haha, fuck you, I win, you lose. I kind of just want to put in another Duress. Duress is just, like, super impactful because I can kill that stupid thing that keeps drawing him cards during the end step, which, like, gives him a lower chance to draw into that, that broken thing that just destroys us. I could also put it in. I think Duress is just too impactful. You know what I need to put in the side deck? I need to put in that guy, or it's basically like Duress, but it says that you only exile a creature or enchantment. I forgot what that's from, but I saw someone use that, and I think I need that to counter that card. Alright, starting off on the play here. 2 lands, but we have 2 mill cards. I don't have a duress, but I think I'm willing to keep this. I'd rather prioritize just like playing the game than having a duress. I could just play this because it could cause him to like spend mana to do something. But if he's using a cut down, yeah, it's probably not worth. I do think that this is just a good bait card because like we don't actually need this to play the game. Oh, he has a duress. Fuck you.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
All right, would you like to get rid of my cash grab or my say its name, buddy? What would you prefer here? Cash grab or say its name, buddy? POV, you're playing for duress, but your opponent draws the duress instead of you. I honestly don't even know what this guy takes here. Probably cash grab. That's what I would take. This guy's like, what the fuck? I don't know what to do here. And that's good. Buddy. It's literally redundant. What have you... Okay, you take my cash grab. Cool, bro. Cool. Well, I kind of want to play the Overlord here. But I think I'm supposed to go say its name. This is so weird. Awesome. You love to see it. That's gangster. Dude, because now we just have 4/4 Delirium. Yeah, that's based. And then we can just play this on 3 and then play that. Okay, we get another cash grab. That's cool. I think I'm just going to do this. Or maybe I do this after. I think I just do this first. Okay. I really want to be able to hit a land. But that's what's cool about Demonic Council is that if you don't have a land, you can go get a land. And so I like that card a lot. Demonic Council, go get a forest, I guess. Or I could get a Llanowar Waste. Go get this. And then I just cash grab during his end step. Hopefully he doesn't have that stupid dinosaur guy. If he has the dinosaur guy, I'm going to be pissed. Caustic Bronco. Okay. So he could still have a cut down, which is like egregious. Alright, that was cool. I really need an untapped land. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. I kind of just feel like going for the Swarm Weaver here. Okay, we get a duress. That's kind of huge. Once again, we're in a position where if we get an untapped land, I'll be able to go Valgos Faithful plus Duress, which just guarantees us a Terror Eater, which would be nice, but I don't know if that's going to happen. What the fuck? Okay. That was really weird. That seems kind of like a waste of mana, is it not? Okay. Sure. The question is, do I want to revive my dude or do I want to duress? I think I just want to revive my dude. Because then I'm just like threatening creatures on board. And I feel like he actually has to do something more. Because he doesn't have a second green source to play that stupid guy again. So this is the loop I was talking about. This is what's really nice. So we mill 4. Oh, and we just got 3 say its name. Yeah, I think that's going to be GG's, brother. So we just do this. Wow, that was dirty.
I fucking knew it. Oh.
Go get an Ultinac. And now he's 10-10 Death Touch because of the Swarm Weaver, which is like huge. Alright, this is going to be really difficult for our opponent to out here. See, this is what I was talking about, where like, if you develop your board and also get an Ultinac for free, it's really difficult to answer the game state. Okay, so you spend 2 mana to do that. I get to draw a card, and I got this resource for free? Sure. That's fine by me, man. And I get a Demonic Council? That's huge. That's actually huge. Okay. Well, I can just add that back, so I think I'm just going to get rid of the Swarm Weaver. If I top deck a land here, this is so huge. Oh my gosh, it's perfect.
I fucking knew it. Oh.
That's actually insane. Okay. Wombo combo. I think I'm just supposed to duress here. Goodbye. Do I buy back Ultinac? I don't know. I think I just attack his Liliana. Play the Swarm Weaver. And then we just go for the Demonic Council, and we get another Overlord during the end step. I mean, that's just GG. If he had 2 cards in hand, I theoretically could have added another Duress. But I think here I just get another Bitter Triumph. I think that locks it up pretty much. He has 1 card to answer this onslaught of a board. Are you kidding me?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
I mean, that doesn't affect the game anyway, but like, the fact he top decked that is just like a little triggering from the first game. But man, I'm glad we were able to beat that guy. The boat, baby. You know how we be. Yeah, dude, that was a heated game. I'm really glad I have the Duresses in. We kind of just beat that guy because he... I mean, I think the only way he can beat us is because of that guy. He's... I don't know why he's not side decking out like these Anointed with Affliction and stuff. Because the only thing he can target is my 1-cost guy. Which isn't even my only way to play the game. And that just seems terrible. He has like 8 copies of that. Should we put in another Drag to the Roots? I don't know. I kind of like what we have. It's like there's no way to just snipe this card out of his hand, right? I think this is legitimately fine. But that was a prime example of like how impactful Ultinac can be. Because like you really don't want to just put an Ultinac on the field. When you develop a threat like a Swarm Weaver or a Valgavoth and an Ultinac in the same turn, it's usually wraps, right? And that's why I like Demonic Council so much. Because very often you'll go like Demonic Council, add Say Its Name, and then just set up your third Say Its Name to be able to Ultinac in the same turn as your combo. So I don't have a Duress here, but I do have double mill cards, which is very important because if he has a Duress, I can counter it. So I think I'm going to keep. Not to mention, we're starting with the Surveil land, which is like the best one for us. We get the Urgent Necropsy. How do you say this? Urgent Necropsy. We top decked the Urgent Necropsy. I totally know how to say that. Okay, I'm putting that in the graveyard, sir. Don't mind me. One Say Its Name has been put into the graveyard, sir. Do not mind me. I'm just going to mill the third one this turn. Wait for it. Wait for it. I'm just going to mill it, buddy. It's fine. It is what it is. So I kind of just want to, like, answer his Caustic Bronco. Because, like, I don't want him to draw cards, right? We'll see what he does. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an artifact or creature. Okay, so he's just getting rid of our Valgoth's Faithful. Sure. I might as well hold the cash grab at that point. I could have technically went Bitter Triumph, discard, and kill. Maybe that was better. Yeah, that probably was better because it guarantees me something in the graveyard. He's going to go Mosswood Dread Knight. Okay. Yeah, I think that was a slight misplay by me. Because that would be Delirium 2 out of 4 now. Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Oh my gosh, that's insane. Wow, okay. Alright, all we have to do is play Say Its Name next turn. If he doesn't exile our grave, please do not have the turtle thing on turn 4, bro. If you have the turtle on turn 4, I'm calling a judge. Man, I really wish I didn't misplay. This would be so much more advantageous to us. Because then I would still have a creature in grave, which would give us Delirium. Bro, do you have the turtle? Please, no turtle. I believe. I'm calling it a turtle. I don't know what it is, actually. It's a busted card, and it fucks with our grave, and I don't respect it. Ow, okay. Does he have turtle control? That is the question we're all waiting to see. Maybe he'll play a Liliana. That'd be cool. He has a Caustic Bronco. Okay, nice. We love to see that. We love a Caustic Bronco this time of year. Please hit a land. Please hit a land. I did not hit a land. That really sucks. Is this guy actually just top game? Okay. That was pretty good for him. Yeah, that was like the best possible answer. So I kind of want to see if he saddles. No, but then he'll be able to +1. Okay, this is a rough game. If I didn't misplay with that Bitter Triumph, that'd be a 12 here, which would have made a big difference. The main issue is I don't know if we can survive to be able to get this Overlord of the Balemerc out. And by that time, he could play just a turtle and we just die.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Okay, that fucking sucks. Dude, I hate this card. Well, I think that's GG. Unfortunate. We almost got him. Well, even if I had done that Bitter Triumph play, he was going to get down the Frillback. I definitely need to play a couple copies of that one card in the side deck that he used against us. I need to figure out what that is. Because that card is very important. Especially against that deck. I don't see people main deck that card often. Okay, so it's a 1 black card. It's this thing. Target opponent reveals the hand. You choose an artifact or creature, then choose a card. Okay, yeah, so I need that. Okay. What are we taking out from the side deck for that? Well, I just didn't realize that people were going to be main decking that. I didn't realize people were going to be main decking the Tranquil Frillback. Because I don't think this card is really good in the main deck. Like, no one is playing graveyard decks. The only graveyard deck is essentially the Apparent Oculus deck. The blue-white Apparent Oculus deck, where you have to exile 6 cards from the graveyard to cast that card. But the thing is about that deck, you're not actually trying to play it that way. You're trying to put it in the graveyard and revive it using the 1-mana white spell that brings something back that costs 3 or less. And typically, it doesn't matter if you exile the graveyard because they can do that in 1 turn. So I don't think that's really a good card to have. I think that guy was just on Copium because I'm in low elo. Okay, the Urgent Necropsy was actually kind of beast. I'm not going to lie. I'm not taking this card out. This card's good. Maybe I should... Maybe I don't need 3 Tranquil Frillback. Maybe I can take out one of these. I want to put in at least 2 copies of that card. Because most likely what's going to happen is I'm going to side deck in 2 of these and 2 Duress. Because I do think Duress is equally as good against that deck. Like, Duress is just a need. I think Duress is one of the best cards in the format. It was one of the best cards at last Worlds. It's probably one of the best cards at this Worlds. Maybe I should just take out this Nissa Ascendant Animist. I don't really know. Like, this card is basically just good versus no main. I don't know. Maybe I should take out Terror Tide. I don't really need 2 Deadly Cover Up. Yeah, like, I don't want more than 2 of these, because realistically, the only reason I'm putting this in is to counter a card that the other people are siding in. This is just a safe card to side deck into in game 2 if the guy's on green, because I know they're going to side in Tranquil Frillback against me. It's not like it's really, like, that OP against their deck, right? Like, if I'm ripping a Caustic Bronco out of their deck, I don't think that really affects the game that much. I would like it if there was another card that allowed us to discard. Because I do think, like, drawing the Valgoth is, like, not ideal. Drawing Valgoth is pretty bad. Like, Bitter Triumph is just a good card, and sometimes you're going to be able to discard it. But for the most part, I don't really... Like, I don't want to be playing a card just because it's, like, a discard card. Like, this card's good, and it can discard. Alright, so this is kind of a sus hand. So we have 2 lands, which is okay, but we also don't have a mill card, and so I kind of want to mulligan this, because we are on the draw. You have to be kind of wary about mulling with this deck, just because, like, it's a combo deck, right? And so you kind of want to, like, have your game pieces, and missing a land drop in this deck is basically life or death. So I'm going to mull one time here since we're on the draw. Oh my gosh, this hand is literally insane. Okay. Yeah, this hand is insane. Okay, we start off with a turn 1 duress. Based. Hella based. You love to see it. Imagine this guy has a Tranquil Frillback in his opening hand. Oh, he's on this deck. Oh my gosh, that's so gross. So, he can Caretaker's Talent on 3. I should probably just take his Carrot Cake, because then he just, like, can't play the game. He can use a Get Lost to blow up my Overlord, but I'm still milling the cards, and then my Say Its Name buys it back, so that's probably fine. Oh, I get another Duress? That's based. You want to Get Lost? That'd be really cool. That was based. Hella based. Because I milled a land with my Overlord, so I'll be able to buy that back with Say Its Name. And it's actually advantageous for us to kill this. If you only had 1 Caretakers, I would probably take the turn off and just Duress again. Because I don't want him to do that. But since he has 2, there's like no reason not to. Ooh, okay, wait. Maybe we want to drag to the roots here. Maybe we do want to drag to the roots. Okay, so first things first. I'm obviously always going to Duress. Oh, he's playing a Sunfall? Well, I just have to get rid of that, I guess. I mean, this card just literally screws us. This is why I have Duress in the deck, because this card just hard counters us. I'm just going to hope that he doesn't draw a card that makes a token for this. Oh my gosh, we're insane.
I fucking knew it. Oh.
Dude, we're literally insane. I'm just the GOAT, baby. This is how I do it. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Yes, sir. The turn 3 Altenac Dream. Say its name. Altenac, the thrice called. Go. Talk about it, baby. Let's go. The boat, baby. Yes, sir. Oh, sir, would you like to get lost? I would allow that. I'll allow that, sir. Would you like to let us draw a card, sir? I'll appreciate it. No, a tapped land. I didn't need another tapped land. Would you like to get lost, buddy? Draw 1. Okay. Sure, sir. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Now, I could hold up this drag to the roots. We'll see what this Surveil does. Okay. If I Demonic Council, what am I adding? I could just add Harvester of Misery. You know what? I think we're just going to play this Valgoth's Faithful. And then I can buy back that. That's not terrible. So I can buy back my Ultinac if he doesn't have an answer here. Oh my gosh, that's so gross. Okay, he gets a scry, sure. Keeps one top. I could revive my Ultinac, but I also kind of just want to search out a Duress. Like, searching out a Duress is kind of big, right? No, he's just going to give it to us. Cool. Yeah, Duress is so needed in this meta. It's actually just so needed. Because there's just so many Sunfall Timmies, man. The Sunfall Timmies really be going wild. Harvester of Misery is pretty good. What about this card? So I can remove his enchantment, his creature, and I could maybe get rid of his carrot cake. The thing is, if I'm allowing him to establish that much, I think I'm already screwed. I think I just want to put in a 4th Duress. I don't know if I like Walk-in Closet in this matchup. It's kind of weird. Like, Walk-in Closet can be good, but it could also be extremely mid. I'm also not really sure if Demonic Council is something I can afford to be doing. Like, if he has a Sunfall, I just kind of lose. And so that's where this becomes really scary. I kind of like this card. I don't know. Bitter Triumph isn't great, right? Like, he's just playing a lot of tokens. Yeah, we'll just put in the 3 Malicious Eclipse. The thing is, we don't know if he's on the Elspeth Planeswalker or not. And if he is, I could be kind of punished by that. Is Duress just the best card in the format? I feel like every person we play against, it's like, I need a Duress or I'm just going to die. Alright, well, this hand's insane. We have a turn 1 Duress and a turn 2 Overlord into a cash grab. I mean, that's based. Overlord goes really hard in this match because we know he has Sunfalls. And so, like, being able to play these back-to-back, meaning that we're not going to have them on the field at the same time, is huge towards him not being able to get, like, a lot of value off of his Sunfall. Okay, he plays an Elegant Parlor. Interesting. And he kept on top. Well, I'm going to drop down this Blooming Marsh and go for the Duress here. No Sunfalls, please. No Sunfalls. He has a Sunfall. Oh my gosh. Exile target permanent. Okay, I mean, I just have to get rid of this. That card just ends us. I'm surprised he's not siding out the cards like this. Because cards that target are just, like, deliberately bad against us, right? I'm just going to play this and see if we can bait out his Get Lost. Get Lost is, like, actually really good for us because it gives us something guaranteed to add back from the graveyard. Yeah, the information is insane. Oh my gosh, we milled a Harvester of Misery. That's insane. Okay. Maybe I just add this back to hand, actually. Because then I'll have the quick effect to give something -2/-2. And I think that's quite relevant. Also, just having this in hand, so he can't rip our graveyard is pretty relevant to wipe his tokens. The Swarm Weaver is good, too. But if I'm taking the Swarm Weaver, I'm losing Delirium, which is something to consider here. I don't know. Swarm Weaver's pretty damn good. Yeah, I think I am actually going to take the Swarm Weaver. Playing the Swarm Weaver on 4 is just huge. Okay, we don't lose Delirium. I thought we did. I thought we did because of the artifact, but actually, we don't, which is huge. Yeah, the other thing is the Duress is a sorcery, and this deck has like a decent amount of instants. Okay, he's going to get lost. Cool. I mean, I'm super happy about that. Oh my gosh, I freaking hate that card, dude. Well, I feel really bad this guy just top decked this, because I would have ripped that shit out of his hand so quick, bro. That shit would have been ripped like a paper bag, bro. That would have been ripped like an alpha booster pack, brother. Okay, what do we want to do here? I could just play another one of these. Get deeper into the deck. This card's just so toxic. But Malicious Eclipse is insane because if he plays Enduring Innocence, we'll actually still exile his card. I think I just established another one of these. It allows us to see the most cards. Okay, that wasn't great, but I can grab back a Valgoth's Faithful, which is just good on turn 5 to be able to rip, to be able to pull back the, yeah, to be able to pull back the Harvester. You know what? Maybe we just play this. Because, like, I want to get him to, like, commit to an answer. Because we are threatening to resurrect the Overlord, or, yeah, we're just threatening to resurrect the Overlord of the Harvester here. So maybe he'll use an interaction on it. He has a Fountain Port. That makes a token, which can draw him a card, I guess. If he's going to play Soul Partition, that's great for us. He plays Soul Partition. We play Malicious Eclipse. And the good thing is if he's removing our Faithful. Oh, no, that's terrible. Fuck you.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Fuck you, buddy. That was broken. That was too broken, brother. Bad biscuits make the baker broke, brother. And this costs 2. Part of me just wants to, like, mill the most amount of cards to try to hit, like, a triple Say Its Name here. I also just kind of want to revive back the Overlord. The Overlord kind of, like, says he needs to use that Soul Partition. Okay, we get a Valgoth. That is amazing. Wow, okay. So now if we top deck a land, I can revive back Valgoth Terror Eater, which would probably steal the game for us unless he top decks a Sunfall. Maybe I shouldn't have taken out the Demonic Consultation or Demonic Council, because that card allows us to add Duress, which is like one of the ways we stop ourselves from losing. This card, Fountain Port, I really like this. I want to order one of these in real life. It's just a good utility card. Oh my gosh, he has 3 Caretaker's talent? That's freaking crazy, dog.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Well, one thing's for sure. If he draws any card that makes a token, we're cooked. Oh, it's a tapped land. No, no. You hate a tapped land, baby. You hate the tapped lands. So, I just need to attack with this. See if he's going to use his ability. Sure. That's fine. Missing that just hurt so bad. Okay, I don't need that. I just need to get to say its name. Alright, this at least puts some pressure on him. It is rather bad, though, if I have to use my Malicious. Hopefully he doesn't just rip a Sunfall here. If he rips a Sunfall, we might actually be cooked. Okay, he's doing that to draw, sure. That could give him a Sunfall, which is like really sussy baka of him. Is there any like card that AoE removes enchantments that I should side deck? Because I think this deck is very popular. I see a lot of people run it. Lay down arms. Okay. Interesting. Well, if he has a Sunfall, we're cooked. Maybe I'm supposed to remove this just so he can't draw. Okay, but he only has 6 mana, though. So, it's pretty unlikely for him to be able to out our Valgoth and also draw cards here. So he basically has to choose, and this is actually optimal because if he does go for a Sunfall, I still get an Overlord on the following turn, which is great. It might be correct to have added back the Harvester of Necropancy, because if I would have added that card back, I could instant speed target whatever he tries to copy as a token, and that would totally blow him out of the water. Okay, he draws 3 cards. That's fucking scary. Now it's likely he gets a Sunfall. I need to find a Duress or a Demonic Council here. No way he has a lay down arms. He doesn't have shit. He's a broke boy. Broke boy, broke boy. What you gonna do when Mr. Beats by Ash 1000 Bands comes for you, son? Everyone, get in there. Okay. Maybe I should... Oh, I should have Malicious Eclipsed. I was thinking I'm getting more damage in with the tokens, but that's just not true. Okay, we have another Valgoth Terror Eater. That's actually insane. I think I'm supposed to add Bath Faithful here. Because if he goes for a Sunfall, I have a guaranteed way to buy back. Oh, that's insane. Okay, we're keeping on top. We're keeping on top. Because with this card, he could kill it. But with this, he just can't answer it. He has to have a Sunfall here. He has a Sunfall. Okay, sure. That's fine, bud. Oh, that triggers that? That's so gross.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Oh, wear down lets you get rid of 2 cards? Yeah, that is just kind of like lame, though. So I definitely just have to do this. Buy back the Terror Eater. We're probably going to go to game 3. I mean, he just accrued too much advantage with this card. This card's just broke. Let's be real. It's just a busted card. Dude, if I had a way to out one of these, I could play it, and that'd be so huge here. There is a slight chance I mill 2 say its name, and that would be insane here. I don't mill say its name. That was pretty bad. Okay, that's a Demonic Council. That adds a say its name. I'm keeping that. Yeah, this shit's just too busted. He has used 2 Sunfall, though. Man, if I would have not misplayed here, this guy would be so cooked. But it's okay, I'm learning. Oh, that interaction is so stupid. I'm out. Yeah. He double Sunfelled. That is the weakness to this deck. I have 4 to rest. I gotta see him, though. given the way that match went, I think I'm supposed to actually play 4 Drag to the Roots. And then I think I'm also just supposed to play, like... What can I cut here? I need to cut 2 cards. I'll cut Harvester. I don't really care about killing his guys. I more so just care about killing his Caretaker's talent, especially since we're on the play. Because I need to have this drown to the roots to be able to kill the Caretakers. I kind of like having another Demonic Council because that card was just clutch. But it seems a little bit greedy. Yeah, I think this is like about as much as I can side. I could maybe get rid of the Squirming Emergence. I don't know. Squirming Emergence is just so good, though. Maybe I should do it and just put another Demonic Council. But, like, if I mill that, though. I mean, we have 4 Duress and we have 4 Drag to the Roots. I should be able to very likely answer his Caretakers. That card is just so broken, dude. I legitimately wish that Magic had this thing that we have in Yu-Gi-Oh! Called a hard once per turn. Where even if you have multiple copies, you can only use an effect once per turn if it says it on the card. Because Caretakers is a card they should not stack. The fact that that's a standard card, and you can draw 4 cards on your turn and 4 cards on the opponent's turn, is not balanced for standard. Alright, start off on the play. We have a Duress, we have a Drag to the Roots, and we have double mill. I mean, that's perfect. As long as we don't brick on lands, this is going to be good. Start off with the Duress. The most powerful card in our deck. He has a Rest in Peace and a Caretakers. Fuck, what is this? When this enters, exile all graveyards. Oh, fuck yeah, I'm getting rid of that. I'm getting rid of that shit so fast, brother. This guy kept his hand literally based off of Rest in Peace. Bro, okay, if he said oops, I guarantee you he drew into another Rest in Peace. Like he had to have drawn into another one. Please set up Delirium. Okay, Delirium is online. Now I can drag to the roots his Caretaker's talents immediately. Does he draw another Rest in Peace? He doesn't draw it. Okay, we get another drag to the roots. That's pretty good. I think I'm just going to say its name here and try to add back a land. Okay, we get another say its name. That's good. I could also just get another Overlord. I don't know. The land just seems so important not to miss. Yeah, we're just going to hope that he plays the Caretakers here and I go drag to the roots. Cool. And we get a Valgoth's Faithful. Great. If I play this, he can answer it. But if he's doing that, he's spending mana on it. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to need double drag to the roots. I think I'm just going to play this. Because the upside of getting it, like, the upside of getting to untap with this is just so high. Will he play a Carrot Cake? That is the question we must ask. I'm going to hover his card because he's hovering mine. If we're going to play that game, bud. He's going Elspeth. Oh, I hate that card. Have fun with your token, buddy. Okay, that's a tapped land. That kind of sucks. I think it's probably correct just to do this. I need the mill. If we hit another Say Its Name here, it could actually put us back in this game. Okay, so I have 5 permanents in the grave here. And I want to establish a body this turn. Because if he kills the one on field, I get another one next turn. So I'm playing around Sunfall. And then I can always just drag to the roots this guy. If he kills this, I drag to the roots, I buy it back. And then mill 4. Add another one back. Just do the same loop again. Okay, makes a token, cool. So that tells me he probably doesn't have a Caretakers if he's doing that. I honestly don't know why he's playing this Beza Bounding Spring. I think this card's terrible against us. This is like a card you really only want to put in if the other person's like super aggressive. He's just passing. Oh my gosh, we had to say its name. That's so dirty. That's so dirty.
I fucking knew it. Oh.
I have a strong feeling that he has a Sunfall. That's really what he's telegraphing. So I'm gonna attack. He's gonna use his Get Lost, kill our guy. Soul Partition. Okay, sure. That's fine. I'm just gonna use this probably. I hit a Swarm Weaver. That's kind of big. I kind of just want to add this back. Do we think he's going to Sunfall? I feel like it's unlikely. Go get an Ultinac. And then we're going to get this back during the end step, so I don't need to play anything else here. I'd probably just kill that. See if he Sunfalls. If he doesn't have Sunfall, next turn my Scorping Emergence buys back the Swarm Weaver. And then we're just hitting in for 8 Death Touch damage, at least. See, I think there's a lot of skill in this deck in knowing when to actually use your Ultinac. Because it's a resource that you can't give up lightly. Okay, he is for a Caretakers. That's Sussy Baka. Bro, don't have another removal. You're not that guy. Let's be real. Okay. Sure, buddy. Sure. Probably reviving the Swarm Weaver. I think I should probably do this. If we would have milled Valgavoth, that would have been crazy, bro. Get back the Swarm Weaver. Attack for 10, Death Touch Trample. Okay, he has a Sunfall, 100%. Bro, this guy 100% has a Sunfall up his ass. I've never seen someone with more Sunfalls up their ass right now. Literally. Fuck Caretaker's talent. And fuck Sunfall too, bud. I already knew it. We all knew it. Sir, I hate you. Sir, please suck a dick. Please suck a dick, sir. So I have nothing in the grave. That's really unfortunate. Oh, I can still play this as my impending cost. That's funny. I think I'm just going to impend this and play Valgoth's Faithful. Damn, I really needed to hit Valgoth. If he has one more Sunfall, I'll scoop it up. Our mills have just been kind of unlucky thus far. Sarah Paragon? Oh, fuck. Well, that's stupid. Alright, well, I just draw my Demonic Council 1 turn late. If we would have had that last turn, I would have been able to search a Duress. Or search out something else to answer the board. But unfortunately didn't, so that's going to be GG. Well played to the opponent. Alright, well, I think it's time to switch over to the Magic stream because the draft has already started. But we got some good games in. I might record a couple more games off stream because I'm going to turn this into a video. I just want to make sure I'm using like the most optimized list. I do think that Duress is 100% a need in the deck. I've seen one other person play this deck. They don't play Duress at all. I don't know how you play without Duress. Because there's so many people who have these weird-ass cards that you cannot beat without Duress. And if you do have a Duress, there's like no way to interact with the deck. Because like, even that guy, he wasn't side decking appropriately. He still kept a bunch of cards that were targeting removal. And targeting removal is bad. Because like, okay, maybe you will be able to kill my Overlord of the Baelmerk. But I'm not getting that out for 4 or 5 turns. So if you're having this card dead in your hand for 4 turns, I Duress your other good card. Like, it's just GG's. Like, you're not playing the game, right? Alright, 1 second. I'll be right back, and then we're going to switch over to the Magic draft stream, and I'm going to commentate. All right, let me go ahead and get us set up here. Pause the music for a second. Let me pull up the stream. And 1 second, let me get something out of the kitchen real quick. All right, I had to get a snack, boys. All right, welcome everyone to the Magic 2024 World Championship Draft Pod for day number 1. This is Duskmorn Draft, and I want to just take some time to go ahead and watch this draft live with you guys and kind of just give my perspective on the picks and see what these people are going to be drafting. So at our feature drafting table, we have Simon Nielsen, who was one of the best players in the world last year. I think he's the highest, I think he's the person with the highest play points in the world in terms of winning the Player of the Year award. Other than that, I'm not too familiar with a lot of these people. I think I've heard of Kenta Makasudo and Atsushi Nakashima and Shinya Saito, but I haven't heard of any of these other people. So this will be very, very interesting to see. I always find it interesting how people from other countries evaluate cards differently and draft differently. But let's hop right into it. If the volume is too loud or too low, somebody let me know in the chat.
No slouches at the World Championship. Everyone here has earned their way through either a single tournament performance where it's really a lot of killers, or a sustained performance throughout the season, which is never easy. So all of these players have their work cut out for them, especially because they're in a pod with Simon Nielsen.
Oh yeah, totally. You can see the players there, absolutely. Sitting down for draft here this morning, no matter.
I wonder if Simon is going to be the featured drafter.
Tour or an event of this level, the nerves always strike you as you sit down for a very, very important moment. There's a look at Simon Nielsen right there, and he will be our featured drafter here this morning.
Let's go.
Finishes to his name. Of course, also the champion of Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3, so riding high on that coming.
The champion of the most broken, overpowered, abusable Pro Tour of all time, Mr. Checklist, aka Mr. Nadu Abuser.
Well, it's not just going to be us bringing you all of the action here at World Championship 30. Let's meet the rest of the broadcast team, who'll be bringing you all the plays from our feature match area. Welcome back to Paul Cheon, who'll be once again in the booth with Marshall Sutcliffe, as well as Ailey Loney and Corey Baumeister. Some great pairs in the booth for us this weekend. I am so very excited for draft here this morning. So let's get ready for draft here at World Championship 30. I'm going to throw it on over to Marshall and Paul, who happens to currently be #1 ranked and limited on Arena. Hey, Marshall, what's your current ranking? Just curious.
That's how we got him in here. They
Okay, I see you, Paul.
My ranking, and we're like, we need him back in the booth. Paul, welcome back.
It's good to be back.
It's great to see you. And of course, we're going to be bringing you coverage of the first draft here at World Championship 30 momentarily. We're going to be following along with Simon Nielsen. As you may know, structurally speaking, from a tournament perspective, these draft rounds are even more important than they normally are at a regular Pro Tour, as there's one fewer round and still 3 rounds of draft.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you know, oftentimes you can kind of, in a normal Pro Tour level event, you can go 1 and 2, and maybe you can come back with your constructed decks. Here, that's a big problem. There's 2 less rounds in the entire tournament, meaning the drafts are just equally, or just that much more important. And for us, limited aficionados, we love that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
So big pressure in the feature, and of course, you want to get off to that good start if you're sitting in Simon Nielsen. See, take a look at the draft pod here. You know, it could have been worse for Simon. You know, no Hall of Famer sitting right next to him. You know, that's the kind of thing that you sit down at a World Championship event, and you know, it's not uncommon to look around and go, yep, I know all these people. And that one wasn't too bad.
Yeah, but you, at the same time, as Monty alluded to earlier, this is the World Championship, right? A lot of people are going to put a ton of effort. We're talking about $1 million prize pool for the entire event. Everybody's going to have 30, 40, 50 drafts under their belt. So even if you don't see a Kai or anybody, you know, some other.
I always hate how they like to say $1 million prize pool. Ooh, because it's like,
right.
okay, the winner gets 100K. He's gonna get taxed out the ass, and then the other people, they drastically get less money. So it's really not that much money.
You know how this works. Simon has just been winning everything forever, and he is in fact making a run for back-to-back Player of the Year here at this tournament.
Like, honestly, depending on where you live in the United States, you may not be able to survive the whole year if you, like, got second or first. Like, because there's going to be so much taxes on that, right? Like, I'm sure you end up with, like, 60,000 or something like that. And, like, depending on where you're at in the United States, like, if you live in Los Angeles, you may not be able to make it.
Pretty good position to do so, but it all starts here, a World Championship perhaps in the works for him, as well as that he just keeps stacking up the accolades. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to preparation, execution, how well you play, and a little bit of luck doesn't help. It doesn't hurt either.
And if there's a player who kind of fits all of those qualities, Simon Nielsen.
There he is. All right, we're going to have one of our head judges calling this draft. That's Abe Corrigan.
1A. The 14 cards contain.
Shout out Abe Corson, big Abe in the house.
You don't accidentally leave any cards inside. Count out those cards face down.
Don't leave any cards inside. We don't need a Mike Long 2.0 here.
Call for a judge if you have anything else.
Abe Corson there is.
I wonder what happens if you call for a judge and you're like, oh, I need a time extension within the time draft. That'd be funny. Okay, wait, I just want to point something out. I don't know about anybody else, but I always thought it was so goofy when you go up against somebody at a tournament and they're wearing a jersey. It's like, I mean, you're kind of on a team, but not really. Like, there's always these people who have the jerseys and the playmats, and I think it's kind of redundant to be like a sponsored player because, like, think about it like this. So these people are paying for a spot on your jersey or your playmat, and you go up against this guy. He's super sweaty. And the guy beats you, and he's like, hey, man, I just completely destroyed you. Do you want to use my promo code at ultimateguard.com? I'm like, well, no, fuck you. You just beat me. I don't want to see you again. You just demolished me. Why would I want to give you money after you already stole my lunch money and beat me? I just think that's kind of stupid.
They're timed. And you'll hear him prompting the players to make their picks as we go.
Please pick up the pack. You have
All right, here we
40
go. Pack
seconds.
one, pick one for Simon Nielsen. Let's see what he can
In this format, I'm honestly looking to start green in a competitive table. Like, if I could start with a Spineseeker Centipede, I'm hyped.
Okay.
He's got
Okay, he's a reluctant role model.
Role model pulled to the front, as well as unable to scream. Anything else standing out?
Break down the door.
Break down the door.
Yeah, I love.
He's not bringing that to the front? Bro, what?
Just absolutely incredible. It's just super.
Are you kidding me?
There's a lot of artifacts and enchantments that you want to kill. in the set, and I also like starting either green or red. I think they're the two best colors in the set. So that's something that I would be looking at. Now, most people are going to see Reluctant Role Model, and they're like, oh, it's a rare. I got it.
I'm going to be honest, I would not start Reluctant Role Model, especially in the Pro Tour. Like, even on Arena, I don't even like starting Reluctant Role Model that much. Because, like, when you think about it like this, in the Pro Tour, you have such a smaller window to pivot over to a different deck. Like, there are a lot of times in a Pro Tour pod where you may not end up with enough playables to be able to be a, like, 2-color pair deck because people are just not giving you any free passes. And with white, there's literally 2 decks that the Reluctant Role Model could go into. And white has the lowest amount of decks that are actually decks you want to go into in the format. To be honest, I'm starting with Break Down the Door here. If you're starting with Unable to Scream, okay. But to be honest, I'm starting with Break Down the Door because I just want to get into green. And also, to my knowledge, there's only one other green card in this pack. I think it's Grasping Longneck. And so by sending that signal in the direction you're passing to, you're kind of telling other people not to play green.
Take it. I just find Survival is mostly a trap, and it just doesn't happen as often as you'd like. It's a good card, but I'd much rather take a removal.
Wow, okay. So he's going to take the Unable to Scream. It is important to note that if he's taking the Reluctant Role Model, there was a red-white land in that pack, and that is a card that could come back. And starting with the Reluctant Role Model or even the Glassworks and getting that red-white land would be kind of nice. Because I do feel like in the Pro Tour, you're a lot more likely to end up in a Jeskai deck than you are just in a blue-white or red-white deck.
There's also a Glassworks there, but he did go with Unable to Scream.
Please pick up the pack. You have 35 seconds.
Here.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, Unable to Scream is fantastic, and it's Blue's best removal spell. I don't think Blue's had a removal spell.
Okay, there's a Bottomless Pool. This guy's getting so rewarded. Are you kidding me? And there's a Meathook Massacre too. Okay. And a Scorching Dragonfire. All right, this person took a bomb rare. Yeah, the person who opened this pack got a bomb ass rare because this pack is insane. Simon's starting pack was mid as fuck. This pack is literally ridiculous.
Yeah, great pack here. Ton of removal. There's also a Bottomless Pool in the pack.
5
there
seconds.
is a Monster Emergency.
I'm taking the Bottomless Pool here. This is an easy Bottomless Pool, getting deeper into blue. I think Bottomless Pool is probably better than Scorching Dragonfire.
So I just think starting with the Scorching Dragonfire, you just can't go wrong with that.
I guess. I would 100% take the Bottomless Pool. Because he already passed, like, a decent amount of red in that first pack.
Now, a little concerning for him, though. He is blue and red currently. Let's call it not a favored archetype among top players.
Yeah, so, like, the thing about taking that Scorching Dragonfire here is, yes, it might be slightly better than Bottomless Pool in terms of, like, I guess red has, like, one more playable deck that you would want to be going into. But by taking that Scorching Dragonfire here, you're essentially saying one of these cards may not end up in my deck. Unless I end up in Teamer, which you're not starting with a green card, so that's not even, like, confirmed. Most of the time, I would say you're not going to be playing both of those cards in the same deck. Especially because you're not going to get that much fixing in the Pro Tour. Like, I think that's way less likely. That's why I think the Bottomless Pool was just all around better.
It's a very difficult one to make work. Ooh, but he got a Patchwork Beastie here. And anything else even? Oh, there's a Turn Inside Out there as well.
Yeah, there's a Cursed Windbreaker, which is very good, particularly in blue-green, because you have a lot of the manifest.
He's putting the Liver Die to the front? That's weird. I'm not taking that Liver Die all day.
Patchwork Beastie. It's just amazing. One drop.
You're taking the Patchwork Beastie. It's just like the only good card in that pack. Let's be real.
Just a 1-mana 3/3. Delirium is just so easy to turn on when you're green.
That's right. One of the better one-drops.
Bro, this would be so insane if he would have taken the Bottomless Pool. Because then he would have 2 blue cards that work really well with Patchwork Beastie and a Patchwork Beastie.
See, I think I would take Optimistic Scavenger over it as a
Please
scary
pick up the pack.
turn
You have
one play, but
25
Beastie's
seconds.
solid.
Yes, that is.
The Beastie is one of my favorite cards. I think that card's insane. Oh, there's a Ride of the Moth. Wow.
3 different colors so far out of 3.
Slimy Aquarium. Is that a defaced gallery? I think it is.
See a Final Vengeance, which is good. But, oh, that's a pretty late Painter Studio. I absolutely love this card. This card just gives you so much value. It allows you to push through for extra damage. I think I would take this. And this seems to me like it's
I would have probably...
that red might be open.
Okay, so given what he started with, that is probably the best card. But think about if you would have done my path, he would now have just picked up a third blue card that also is a card, Slimy Aquarium, Underwater Tunnel, that is probably best played in a blue-green deck. And he would be in a great position to either be blue-green or blue-white, which are arguably 2 out of 4 of the tier 1 decks in the format. But obviously, considering he took the Scorching Dragonfire over the bottomless pool, the Defaced Gallery is just the best card for him. But I feel like he kind of just threw away one of those picks. Like, he's either going to end up, like, having to splash the Unable to Scream, which I don't think is great in red-green. Because, like, the best red-green decks are decks that I think you would prefer not to splash in. Especially because you're probably not going to get, like, free fixing in this pod.
We got the second pick Dragonfire, and Painter Studio is certainly a card that I've taken pretty early before. Seeing it fourth could be a sign, so now you're pretty happy.
I don't think that's a sign at all.
Out of your 4, so you're at least red. Gotta figure out what your second color is going to be.
Yeah, Defaced Gallery, the other...
Okay, there's a Glimmerlight, Fear being hunted.
Oh, look at this, Fear of being hunted.
Oh, and a Terramorphic. I'm slamming the Terramorphic if I'm him.
Wow, red's open.
Red is
I'm slamming the Terramorphic all day.
Seeing a pack like this, there's also Sporogenic Infection. So what you know, oftentimes it's easy to just slam the card you know you're going to take, which is going to be the Fear of being hunted here. But keep an eye out for the other cards and the other colors that you see that are good. So in this case, Sporogenic Infection is a good card. So you go, well, you know what? Maybe
okay, this guy has no respect for playing all of the cards he selected. He's kind of just throwing away his Unable to Scream pick. I honestly don't know why he would not take that Terramorphic. Because he has a Patchwork Beastie, a Defaced Gallery, and he also has a Unable to Scream and a Scorching Dragonfire. And it's very easy to end up Teamer. I 100% would take the Terramorphic because in this pod, the Terramorphics are not going to go late. And that is probably the best card you could start off with on turn 1 in a green deck. It's going to enable him to potentially play all of the cards he's selected thus far, and it makes his Patchwork Beastie pick way better.
Red-black is a color combination that it could potentially end up in, given that pack.
Yeah, because right now, you know...
Also, I want to note, I don't think that Fear of Being Hunted is that premium. The thing about this card is, number one, it's a lot worse when you are going second, in my opinion, because then your opponent has the opportunity to develop, like, multiple guys, and at that point, they might have one of them that kills this. And number two, this is saying that he's going to be base red in order to play this. And I don't even think this card is that good in red-green in my experience. Because oftentimes, when you're playing a red-green deck, you may not be able to have double red up on turn 3. And I just think that's like a big commitment for a card that doesn't have that high of a ceiling. Like, this card is best played in red-black or red-white. And I'm not sure that he's really in a good position to do one of those things. Like, really, the only thing that's going to make me go red-black is if I get a Disturbing Mirth.
If red's going to flow like this, Simon will be happy to commit to
I just think that was super greedy not to take the Terramorphic. Terramorphic's just one of the best cards in the format. Oh, this pack is garbage. Yeah, this pack is so bad.
Happy playing with almost any card in this pack.
Okay. I want to point this out again. If he would have went down my pathway, where he had taken the Bottomless Pool and the Slimy Aquarium, he would now have, I believe, 4 blue cards, 1 green card. No, he would have 3 blue cards, 1 green card, a Terramorphic Expanse, and he would now be taking this Misty Salon Smoky Lounge, which he would already have 2 rooms for, and that would put him in an amazing position to either just be green-blue and have this card as like a solid playable, or splash red as well for additional rooms because he has the Terramorphic, and he would be able to go Teamer rooms, which are 2 decks that I find myself ending up with quite a bit, really. Like, I think that one thing that's good about Teamer is that you can very easily just load up with all of the removal and not really prioritize creatures. And so you're just getting all this premium early game interaction. And most of the rooms you're playing give you bodies. And so the Smoky Lounge Misty Salon just serves as an alternative win condition. And it basically just gives you a way to win the game without having to devote that many picks to it. And he would have an insane start to this draft if he would have done that. But now he's put himself in a terrible situation because that's the only good card in this pack.
Upside, right? Because you already have a painter.
Highest upside. None of these cards in the pack have upside besides that card. Are you kidding me?
This is certainly the type of card that you would like if you do end up in blue-red.
Yeah, and this is what you'll see top
Please pick
players
up the
do
pack.
is
You have
even
20
if
seconds.
Simon's not planning on playing Smoky Lounge, it's the upside pick. It's the one that has the
It's also just like the only actual playable card in that pack.
For him. Creeping Peeper and a Bedhead Beastie.
Oh my gosh. If he would have went down my pathway, the Creeping Peeper would actually be a card you would want to play in your deck. 100%.
Fear of Lost Teeth also is also fine. Now, noting that
Okay, if I'm being honest here, I think taking Fear of Lost Teeth is acceptable, but I don't think that that should have been the pick here 100%. So there are two ways that he could look at this pack. He's kind of set himself up to be base red, and he could move into black. But if he's moving into black, I would much rather have the Winter's Intervention because he doesn't have any copies of Final Vengeance, which is the main reason you would want to play Fear of Lost Teeth or Disturbing Mirth. And so for that reason, if he wanted to leave himself open to that route, I would take the Winter's Intervention. But in all honesty, I don't know that he is like super likely to be red-black because although he's seeing black cards, they aren't really reasons to move into that archetype, right? Like he's not seeing Sawblade Skin Ripper, he's not seeing Disturbing Mirth, he's not seeing any really bombs or like Fear of Burning Alive. What I would take here is just take the Pyroclasm because none of these cards are like 100% gonna hyper impact his deck in a positive way. But considering he is base red, there is a chance that someone else he's going against in one of his matches could use the Pyroclasm against him. And that is probably what I would take the pick on, just so that someone else couldn't be Pyroclasming me. I think you could also make the argument for taking the Bedhead Beastie here, since he already has a Patchwork Beastie, because that would make him more likely to have the option to end up in a Delirium Teamer deck, since he does have that Unable to Screen. And I actually don't mind the Bedhead Beastie.
That, in this best of 3 environment, Pyroclasm is a very powerful sideboard card. Also a card to consider, but pretty weak pack.
Please pick up the pack. You have 15 seconds.
He did take the Fear of Lost Teeth, so perhaps red not quite as open as we thought, though we'll see how this goes.
Oh my gosh.
For blue cards, was that
wow.
5 seconds.
So this pack has a red-green Verge land or a blue-red duel. Had we been down my pathway, we would have, I believe, 4 red cards, 1 green card, a Terramorphic Expanse, or we would have 5 blue cards because we would have ended up with the Creeping Peeper from last pack. And then we also have the 3 total rooms with the 3 total rooms with the Steamy Salon Smoky Lounge. And so in this pack, it would be really advantageous to that pathway because he could easily take the blue-red land here, which would then turn on his Smoky Lounge side, which is the red side of Misty Salon, which allows you to add additional mana each turn for all of your rooms. And that would be very advantageous to him because now he would have that plus a Terramorphic, which means from that point onward going into pack 2, if there's a powerful red card, blue card, or green card, he's going to be in a great position to take it. But now he's just put himself in a really weird situation where I think he kind of just has to hope that red-black becomes open and just end up with like a medium red-black deck. And let me tell you, if I had to choose between having a mediocre aggro deck or a mediocre teamer deck, I'm a mediocre aggro deck or a teamer deck that has like really good late game, I'm going with the teamer deck every time.
Test either way, not super exciting for him.
Yeah, there's a fear fail test. There's a couple of lands here, the blue-red land and the red-green land.
Takes the blue-red land. I agree.
A fine option, but noting that there are 2 white cards in that pack, 2 commons that you could be happy playing with. Given that you're red, red-white is a fairly strong color combination, so could have maybe speculated on a white card there.
Well, he could take a red-white duel here or a Ragged Playmate, a fine playable.
Is this his original pack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this is his original pack, right? Because he had that red-white land. I guess here he just has to take the Ragged Playmate. But I will note Ragged Playmate is often not very good in a red-black deck. That card is basically a red-white-gold card. It's like okay in red-black if you have like 3 Disturbing Mirth. So you're like manifesting Dread all the time, and maybe you have Ticket Booth, Tunnel of Hate. But at that point, you already have a really good red-black deck. So it's not like Ragged Playmate is really like, it's just a win more card in that situation.
Yeah, I think at this point, this pack's not going super well, and you just need to just keep taking red cards that you think have a shot of
Pick up the
making it
pack.
into
You
your
have
deck.
10 seconds.
I think he's put himself in a really awkward situation. The Meat Hook Massacre #2 comes back. That's crazy.
Medium card or anything
Wow.
like that, but it's a solid removal spell that you can just play and just keep taking the card.
Honestly, I kind of want to look back at this because early on there were some decent black cards. Like he had a Sporogenic Infection he could have taken. He could have had another Winter's Intervention. Black seems like it was definitely the most open color in this pack. And had he had started black, he would be in a fair position to play the Meat Hook Massacre 2 and just get it for free here. Also because he could have ended up with that Terramorphic Expanse. And like if you are able to like effectively play the Meat Hook Massacre more times than not, you're going to have the mana required to do it. It is a very good card.
In case you can pivot into red-black, because red-black is a strong color combination. It has excellent synergies.
You have 5
so
seconds.
right now, Simon's just a bunch of red cards.
Oh, wait, he's getting a turn inside out? Like pick 12? That's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
That is amazing.
Three cards to your
turn
left.
inside out is a
That's
very common
insane.
trick at common in the entire
Pick up the
set.
pack, you
Getting
have
that late
5
is a pretty good
seconds.
sign.
That was a better card than his last 3 picks.
I mean,
Like,
pack one's been kind of bad in
Yeah.
general.
Please pass 2 cards to your left. Pick up the pack. You have 5 seconds.
all right. Well, it does look like he's on the. I'm going to be.
Okay, he gets a
red,
leech.
most
I mean, that's
likely,
just a
and then
2-drop.
the rest later
Please pass.
plan.
I will say, in his defense, this pack 1 really did not have like that much power. Like he didn't really see any like big signal cards that would reward him for going down a specific pathway. But I do think going deeper into blue and just trying to stay blue would have put him in a like higher ceiling position. Like seeing how things would have folded out, and that's what I would have done. But to be fair, it's not like he saw any like crazy signposts like Brood Spinner or, you know, Gremlin Tamer. Other than the Misty Salon Smoky Lounge, there were not really any cards that said, I want to go in this direction or I want to move into this archetype because of this card. I'm just really surprised he passed up on the bottomless pool, though, especially when he started with a blue card.
The last
He
card.
still has a Patchwork Beastie, but there's been no green at all.
Yeah, it's felt like green was just straight up cut.
Green is extremely deep, Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me put this in perspective. So I think it was very fair for him to start blue and do what I said. You take the bottomless pool, and then you end up taking the Slimy Aquarium, the Terramorphic, and then you take a couple of like decent red cards. Then going into pack 2, because the packs are going to be past the opposite direction, that's when you could probably get in deeper on green. And as long as you end up with like any combination of like Spineseeker Centipede, Moldering Gem, or Overgrown Zealot, he's going to be able to easily just play the best cards out of red, blue, or green. And that Steamy Salon Smoky Lounge would have been crazy.
Picks. That time
4
begins
2-mana
now.
plays that you can take. Monstrous Emergence, where
So, quick little audit of the deck going into pack 2. He's basically in a situation where he's almost just like forcing himself into red-black. I guess maybe he could do like a late pivot into red-white. Although it's kind of hard to assess, was white just cut from the pack? Or were there just no powerful white cards opened? Because we did see some white cards, just nothing like super powerful or something that makes me want to move into white. And we are in the play booster era, so we do have to take that into consideration, that this set of packs could have just broken away where white just wasn't opened very like rewarding, right? So I think he's kind of just put himself in a bad position, because it's almost like in order to end up with enough playables, he might just have to force his way into red-black and just close his eyes and hope that he's past like Disturbing Mirth, Sawblade, Skin Ripper, Final Vengeance, like all the cornerstone cards of that deck. which is never something what I want to be doing. Because red-black is probably my favorite deck to play in this format outside of just like 4-color green decks. But I don't want to go into red-black without seeing cards like Disturbing Mirth, cards that really reward me for moving in that direction. I guess the card that like pushes him in that direction the most is Painter Studio to Face Gallery. But if your deck isn't like super good at like having premium 2-drops at uncommon and stuff, the Painter Studio to Face Gallery only does so much for you.
Watchdog, Manifest Dread. There's Mythic Common, Spineseeker Centipede, our favorite.
Right.
And we haven't seen anything remotely.
Okay, what is the rare here?
Green is open, so I think green is definitely not on the table. And if
Wow, this pack is very similar to a previous one.
Blue, which is a weaker color combination, but he has maybe a slightly better card because he has the Unable to Scream, or perhaps move into red-black. But right now, I think Simon's just looking to be as open as possible. If he opens an Overlord of the Mistmoors, he's just going to slam it and move into red-white.
That's right.
Oh, I thought that was the pack he was opening. The way they were talking, I thought it was the pack.
Right, something really awesome, especially
My bad.
Double green, something
like a Tyvar.
Right,
Yeah.
like that would be really tough for him because he knows that green is not going to be coming in pack 3. Theoretically, he could get hooked up for 1 pack, which that can be enough. Like
Right.
you said, green's very deep.
Exactly. I completely agree with Marshall. Had he have gotten super deep into blue, he could just get deep into green with fixing in this pack, and he would be in a great position to play Teamer Rooms, and easily the Steamy Salon Smoky Lounge would go into his deck.
No, they're not. But, you know, and the thing is, he didn't really see any of the sacrifice
players,
cards, right? That's what
pick
you're
up
looking
the
for.
envelope
You want the
marked
uncommon
1B.
creatures that let you sacrifice permanents.
Please open
But
it, ensure
there
that you
were,
remove
notably,
all of the
in the
cards.
first few packs, there were some Final Vengeances.
out
They didn't table.
Exactly. He didn't see any of the sacrifice synergies, and I just think it's really risky to move into red-black without seeing
Right
those.
now, he's going to keep himself super flexible. If he opens a Tyvar, he's probably just going to take it.
Okay, let's see what happens here. This is where option 1 for Simon is really powerful card that puts him in a direction. Option 2 is just
Players,
more good
please
red
pick up the
cards.
pack.
Like, you
You've
can
got
just
40
keep delaying the
seconds.
decision. Ooh, there's some good stuff. That was an oblivious
Okay.
bookworm.
Chard Fourier is the rare,
There's the center.
and there's a Centipede. So had he done what I said, the Centipede would be an easy slam here.
Okay, yeah.
But now I think he probably just takes the Irreverent Gremlin.
There's just not that many cards you're just going to take over the ground.
Bro, you're not taking Chard Fourier. You don't have any grind in this deck
Basic
right now.
creature, lets you cycle through your deck, get you Delirium. I just don't think there's the only other card that's on the power level or better is the Oblivious Bookworm, but that's so far removed.
Yeah, you take the Irreverent Gremlin here with what he's got set up and hope that you get past on the wheel either the Final Vengeance or the Tunnel of Hate. This seems to be a pretty powerful pack, so I would not be surprised if he gets one of those cards back. Especially because I don't think anyone else at the table is going to be interested in Final Vengeance unless there's another red-black player who just got like multiple Disturbing Mirths on the opposite side of the table.
That's a tough one.
Okay, so this pack has a Razorkin Needlehead. That's actually pretty good for him. I don't think that card is that great, but if you're just like almost all mono red, it's good. Okay, of note, there is a Most Valuable Slayer here. Wow. Okay, so there's also a Say Its Name and Insidious Fungus. Had he done the blue path, he would have now got hooked up with either the Chard Fourier, which would go really good in that deck because he has the Steamy Salon Smoky Lounge, or he just takes the Centipede, which is the safe pick. I would have done that, and then in this pack, he would be able to follow that up with a Say Its Name, which would be really good. But here, I think he actually shouldn't take the Razorkin Needlehead. I think he should just go for the Most Valuable Slayer. And that's specifically because in pack 1, he picked up Fear of Being Hunted, which is the 3-mana 4/2 enchantment creature. Haste, must be blocked if able. I don't think Razorkin Needlehead is like the hugest reward. I think that's a card to where, like, if you're already in the deck and there's nothing super premium, you can take it. I don't think it's really that much higher of a ceiling than MVS, but because he has that synergy of that creature must be blocked, if you play the MVS in the following turn, you're now just attacking with a must be blocked 5 attack first striker, and that is just going to very quickly end the game if your opponent doesn't have an efficient answer for it. So I would probably just take the MVS over the Needlehead.
The Excruciator in their deck.
That's really funny.
There's also a Drown Diner here, which would have been really good if you went deep into blue.
Right now, Simon is mostly mono-red, so it looks like he's going to heavily skew his mana base to play the Needlehead. I'm generally not a fan of the Needlehead just because I don't like double-colored 2-drops. Because you just rarely play them on turn 2.
Yeah, I don't think the Needlehead is that good here.
He has a fear of being hunted. That's
Dude, that combo is gross.
Exactly. They're calling the Fear of Being Hunted combo out. That, oh my gosh, there's Disturbing Mirth. This guy's getting rewarded. Are you kidding me?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Scorching Dragonfire, Disturbing Mirth. This is an easy Disturbing Mirth. I have a bias. I'm taking the Disturbing Mirth.
Right? And it's your mono red. It's really, really easy. But if you're in red-black, Disturbing Mirth is a better card. Right? Disturbing Mirth.
Okay, I just want to point this out since he has a Disturbing Mirth here, and it's likely he's going to move into red-black. Even though he started this pathway, I still think it was better to take the Terramorphic in that one pack because he didn't really get a super premium card. And the Terramorphic is unassumingly really strong in red-black because it allows you to trigger the effects of your other cards that trigger off of sacrifice, such as your Sawblade Skin Ripper to be able to ping something. And in this deck, you commonly want to play Fear of Being Alive if you're offered it, which is just another reward for having a Terramorphic. And it's just like, a lot of times in these Pro Tour drafts, you're not going to end up with a 2-color deck with a large amount of like awesome playable cards. So the Terramorphic just leaves you so open to splash like 1 or 2 potential good cards from another color that you're forced to play regardless. But I think this is just an easy Disturbing Mirth slam here. Like, I don't think he's in a good position to go red-white. We haven't seen any really powerful cards from white.
Is a better card. It's one of the best. It's one of the. It's a lot better. It's one of the best signposts on commons in the entire set.
Is it a lot better? I think I would take the Scorching Dragonfire. Okay.
Really? You would take the Scorching Dragonfire? I'm slamming the Mirth every time.
Right.
It also makes his pick of Fear of Lost Teeth a lot better because he now has a turn Inside Out and a Fear of Lost Teeth. He has a turn Inside Out and a Disturbing Mirth for the Fear of Lost Teeth, which gives him really good synergy there. So this is probably just an easy Sporogenic Infection. Honestly, this pack is just relatively weak. But man, if he would have started blue, he would be in a great position to just take the Defiant Survivor here, or even the Moldering Gem Weight Room, and be able to just get huge dividends paid off for getting that free Smoky Lounge Missy Salon. And who knows, he might have ended up with a Shard 48 also.
Very narrow, but still, this is World Championship. Like,
I mean, somebody's just going to take it.
yeah, somebody's going to be like, yeah. No.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, was that Midnight
That's a Midnight Mayhem. He could splash that.
Now it's like,
Bro, please do not take this Violent Urge. If he takes this Violent Urge, I'm going to cringe so hard. That card is not even good in decks where you are able to easily enable Delirium. The reason Turn Inside Out is so good is because it's low risk. Because even if they have a counter, like a counter magic or a combat trick of their own, you still just get a body, right? Like, Violent Urge, I've just found is terrible, even in my red-green decks, where I get Delirium by turn 3. Like, I just don't think it's that good.
Dragonfire, you could take the Midnight Mayhem.
Right.
Because that's one of the best Boros uncommons.
But he made that choice, and he's just going to have to take Violent Urge, which is like, fine.
He doesn't have to take Violent Urge. Okay. That is strictly incorrect. He does not have to just take Violent Urge. Violent Urge is a card that, let's be real, his creatures aren't that big. It's only really going to be applicable if he goes against someone who also has small creatures, which I will say is not the majority of the meta. And on top of that, you know, I don't think that Violent Urge, even if it works, is going to have a super high ceiling. You know, other than the Disturbing Mirth, he doesn't have a lot of things that immediately put stuff in the grave. He doesn't have like a Tunnel of Hate. He has one turn Inside Out, but not really the best creatures to enter combat with. But if he takes the Midnight Mayhem here, we did see a red-white land go all the way around the table to like pick 12 before someone took it in pack 1, which means if another one of those is opened, and black was relatively open, if he gets either a black-white land or a red-white land here, he could easily splash the Midnight Mayhem, which is a really strong synergy with Disturbing Mirth. And especially if he gets a Final Vengeance or if he gets a Sawblade Skin Ripper, I've found that if you're playing more of a mid-rangey red-black deck and you end up with enough lands, the Midnight Mayhem is actually worth the splash. I believe at the time of this recording, it is the second highest win rate uncommon.
Red black, just because you're not really manifesting, you're just going to need a bunch of sacrifice effects and a bunch of innocuous rats to get there.
I always feel bad for Violent Urge because turn inside out just kind of.
Please pick up the
Yeah,
pack.
it's like, hi, I'm a common. I'm just
100%.
It's much better.
Okay, I also want to put this in perspective. We did see at the end of pack 1, he got that turn inside out, pick 12 or pick 13, I believe. And Violent Urge is objectively just a worse turn inside out. So with that logic, it's not against the laws of probability for him to wheel that Violent Urge either in this pack. You know, so that's even more reason to take the Midnight Mayhem.
Come on.
Wow, he's getting hooked up with a lot of green.
And hand that fade.
So you were talking about the mana situation.
I think he just needs the hand that feeds here.
So I think in general, Murder might be a slightly better card. I actually think it's kind of close. Double black is a big thing. But if you notice, Simon Nielsen has Razorkin Needlehead in his deck. And he really wants to skew his mana base where it's nearly mono-red. Maybe 10-7, maybe 11-6 for Mountains versus Swamps. So it makes sense to take the hand that feeds here because he thinks Murder is just not going to be the type of card that you can cast that easily. Also, Red Black has a ton of removal. Like Murder's
Oh, that's a percussionist. That's an easy slam.
Oh,
Yes. In the house.
Easy. Easy, baby. We're locked in. Give us one more Disturbing Mirth and it's a 3-0, baby. Wow, this guy got rewarded so hard for no reason.
It's one of the best comments in the set.
It's crazy, like, how many different pathways there are in this format, and that makes it one of the best of all time, in my opinion. Because, honestly, if he started blue in pack 1, he would have just got that land, the blue-green land in that pack, got hooked up with a bunch of green. I think if he went blue-green, his deck would be just as good, if not better. And I don't think the position he's in is terrible because he got hooked up with the Disturbing Mirth. So it's crazy he actually had 2 possible pathways of, like, decks he could end up with decent playables. I actually think the Veteran Survivor there was a bad pick. I think he should have taken the Friendly Teddy because he already has a Delirium payoff in the form of hand that feeds. And he doesn't have a lot of premium 2-drops. Friendly Teddy is fine. Like, if he ends up with that Tunnel of Hate, potentially wheeling from the first pack, he ends up with another Disturbing Mirth. Friendly Teddy is one of the better ways to enable Delirium, because you have to put in perspective, the other colors outside of green don't have a lot of premium artifact creatures. So if his deck ends up really caring about Delirium, I think the Friendly Teddy would overall be better, and he just wants as many 2-drops as possible. You know, he does have the turn inside out. He also has the Disturbing Mirth, which Friendly Teddy isn't one of the worst cards to sacrifice off Disturbing Mirth. You know, it's not something that's going to change his deck drastically, but I do think it was a bigger reward.
Oof.
Wow, this pack is all blue. He's being punished for not starting blue.
In that back.
And the Curse Windbreaker table, that's a little surprising. That card's very, very good.
It's solid.
Yeah, that's crazy. If he would have started blue in pack 1, he would be so rewarded here. This would be the freest 3-0 of his life.
I can also pivot into white. Let's say I open an Overlord of the Mistmoors. Maybe I'll just go ahead.
Okay, if he's based here, he'll take the Excruciator.
Because if you look, he only picked up 2 black.
If he goes for the Cracked Skull, not based at all. If he goes for the Excruciator, he's extremely based.
The problem with this pack, outside of the Mirth, is he didn't get any sacrifice outlets. He got the one.
Boo.
He needs things to sacrifice to the Mirth and other ways to sacrifice.
Okay, the Demonic Council? Dude, if he would have taken Excruciator, he could have searched the Demonic Council. That would have been funny.
The power in black-red.
Wow, he would have got a late Vanish from Sight too. The rewards for being blue in pack 1 are just so, like, unignorable. Bro, I swear, this guy might legitimately have to play a Bear Trap. I've done over 100 drafts and have never had a reason or just had to play a Bear Trap at all because that card's freaking ass. This guy just put himself in, like, a weird situation. Think about how trash his deck would be if he didn't just get gifted a Disturbing Mirth. If he did not get gifted a Disturbing Mirth, he would literally have, like, no B+ cards in his deck. And that would be really sad. This deck is, like, very borderline playable.
Of the rooms in the format, you just almost never run out of things to do with your mana. So it's so important to play to the board and make sure that you have enough things to do early. Now, I'm not
I don't think he has that many creatures.
8 2-mana creatures, but some combination of.
And the creatures he has just, like, aren't that great. Like, he has a Needlehead and a Gremlin and a Fear of Lost Teeth. That's, like, okay.
You're going to need to be able to match them curve for curve.
And he has a hand that feeds. So he has, like, 5 or 6.
Just make sure you curve out well.
So with the Percussionist, I think he has like 6 total cards that are like decent to play before turn 2 or less.
But this synergy stuff is not there right now.
Yeah, his deck has almost no synergy. He just has like a Disturbing Mirth, and like his deck looks extremely mid.
Sacrifices, he's got the mirth. Disturbing Mirth.
Yeah, he's got the mirth, and
kind of want a few other things here.
Yeah. Not enough.
Also, this is a particularly aggressive leaning version. Lots of combat tricks and a low curve.
Yeah, so
maybe you don't need quite as many.
Yeah, that's kind of the backup plan. I think Simon.
He's playing the Winner's Intervention for sure.
And stuff, he's just gonna slam them. Really great with the mirth, but I think he's still.
So he's got like 16 or 17 playables going into pack 3. That's not terrible.
And then at uncommon, we're looking at cards like Solid.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Even a diversion specialist.
And red will probably be open in this pack, I would assume.
So it would be a fine card to play kind of at the top end of your mana curve here.
If he gets 2 Disturbing Mirth in this next pack, he's going to make me eat my words. And this would be like the craziest turnaround I've ever seen. Remember, it is the play booster era. So if you end up putting yourself in the position of being in the open lane at your seat in the table, you do get massively rewarded in pack 3 on average. But his deck does not look very good. Red, black, no sacrifice. That's funny.
Again, we talked about how just this is a World Championship level draft. This is not your best of 1 arena draft where you just get absolutely everything. So, you know, like no draft is going to look perfect. And I think given what Simon has seen so far, I think he's drafted his seed reasonably well. I think the only close
reasonably well, I don't think he did.
Versus the Dragonfire, and then possibly the Razorkin Needlehead versus the most valuable.
I'm actually very surprised. Oh yeah, he didn't even take the most valuable Slayer. I forgot about that. The most valuable Slayer would actually be pretty good in this deck.
A nice payoff. For this
Players at this time, please pick up the pack. You have 40 seconds.
I think he just took the Needlekin because he wanted a reward. Okay, the rare is
So that's not it.
that green-white rare. That's not good. Oh, this pack is bad.
This is a rough.
Yeah, this pack is terrible.
I mean,
It's more of what he already has.
Yeah,
Bro, you're not playing that trap in the screen. Put it at the back of the pack. You're not playing it, bro. You're not playing it. You have enough playables to go red-black. That's just going to hurt your deck. Your deck's way too low curve. You can take the...
Though is just turn inside out.
Okay, he takes the turn inside out here, tries to wheel the Saw. The Saw would actually make his deck a decent amount better because it just allows him to get rid of redundant cards and maybe draw into removal.
It is. This is the adult choice for sure.
This is a player that
If he wheels the Saw, that would extremely benefit him because that is a sacrifice outlet, remember, and he does need those.
or a signpost uncommon.
Yeah, just an uncommon would be good. There's a lot of them that would help him out.
Oh!
Speaking of...
I mean, that's just an easy slam of the Undead Sprinter.
Yeah, and there's also a Percussionist, which is obviously very good. In this
Bro, you're not taking the Percussionist. You're taking the Undead Sprinter. Card's just broken.
And every time I play with this card, I always go, oh, do I have to, like, go through hoops? No. You trade, and then you play it again. It's a 3/3
and it's bigger. Yeah.
Funny enough, I've actually played red-black. I think it's one of my highest played decks in the format. I've never gotten the opportunity to use Undead Sprinter, but that card is insane. Anytime someone plays it against me, like, it's just GG.
Any red deck, effectively. But Sprinter's
Wow.
and this
Well, that is a reward.
You know, the echoes of the Mirth pick.
He does need good 2-drops.
Right now.
And it's a good card to use with turn inside out because it has trample. Not that many creatures in this format have trample. Oh my gosh, that was another fear of being hunted. And a final vengeance. Wow, that's tough.
Vengeance. Ooh. So now he has to decide.
Okay, let's talk about this. So had he taken the most valuable Slayer in that last pack, he would be in a great position to take this fear of being hunted. That would be absolutely absurd. So he's really being punished for not taking that most valuable Slayer and instead taking the Needlehead. He also just got incredibly punished for not being blue in pack 1. But here, I think I actually am leaning more towards taking the Tunnel of Hate here and trying to wheel the Final Vengeance. He already has some decent interaction. Remember, he does have a Scorching Dragonfire. He also has, I believe, 2 Winter's Intervention. And I think he had some other piece of interaction. I forgot. Oh, no, he has a Sporogenic Infection. That's what it is. So he has some interaction. And just with the way that this draft is panned out, I think it's fairly likely he's going to see at least one more Final Vengeance. Because I do not believe there's another red-black drafter at the table. And that's really a red-black gold card. So I think Tunnel of Hate here is the correct pick. Had he taken the MVS, we're going fear of being hunted here every time.
for him here.
You have to risk it. Like, your deck is already bad. You need to get lucky in order to win here. You go Tunnel of Hate every time.
I think a good shot, you take Fear of Being Hunted, but I think Final Vengeance is the pick here because
Really?
you picked up that
I disagree completely.
You have that Disturbing
Please
Mirth.
shuffle and lay out 11
Disturbing
cards
Mirth
to
is
your
not that great.
I just think it's way higher of a likelihood for him to see another Final Vengeance than it is for him to see a Tunnel of Hate again. Because decks outside of Red-Black would be willing to play a Tunnel of Hate, especially in this competitive format. That card is a lot better because you're not going to get super premium cards. It's also a card that manifests Dreads, which helps his hand that feeds. And just having a way to push through damage in the late game in a low curve deck and get something in your deck to be able to spend your mana on when you're at 5 or 6 lands and have all these 2-drops, I think just goes such a long way.
If you can't sacrifice it, right? You need to be able to find ways to sacrifice it, and right now, Simon has almost no ways to do so.
pick up the pack.
So I
You have
think you need to
25
take the
seconds.
fight.
Also, if he gets that saw to wheel here, he would be able to get a huge advantage for that. Oh my gosh. He's going to get 2 Undead Sprinter? This guy is the luckiest person in the world. Are you kidding me? How is he just getting so rewarded? Wow, that's tough. No, it's not tough at all. That's just an easy Undead Sprinter. You're just grunting the fact that you had to choose both those cards in the same pack. I mean, that's just insane. Double Sprinter in this pod. And there was a Fear of Lost Teeth. That pack was just literally made for Simon Nielsen. Wow. Change his name from Mr. Checklist to Mr. Undead Sprinter. Okay, there you go. I literally called it.
It's coming together.
I literally called it. That is another Final Vengeance. Had he taken the Tunnel of Hate, I think that this Final Vengeance would feel a lot better. Yeah, okay, he has 2 Undead Sprinters, sure. But I just think the Tunnel of Hate would be so advantageous for him. He doesn't have that many 3-drops, remember. I think he just has that Fear of Being Hunted. And it would give him a good card to sacrifice with the Final Vengeance. Like, other than his Percussionist, like, Fear of Lost Teeth is okay. But in a lot of game states, it's not that good. You know, like, I just think that the Tunnel of Hate would have been so much better here. Obviously, getting a Final Vengeance is still good, but I think it would have been more rewarding had he taken the Tunnel of Hate.
He needed the sacrifice cards. Final Vengeance is a premium removal spell in black-red. It's just
But dude, this guy's just getting hooked up.
Simon being able to go double Final Vengeance.
Like, this guy is getting hooked up. He must just be playing a quick draft, bro. He's playing a quick draft.
That's exactly what he needed to happen.
Yeah, you have to take that Final Vengeance.
Wow.
Please shuffle and lay out 9 cards to your left.
This guy took a really interesting path. I feel like he didn't prep as much as some of the other people would, like Luis Scott Vargas. Okay, he gets a murder. Ooh, or a Trial of Agony. Yeah, I think his deck's way more interested in Trial of Agony.
Much more castable than Murder. Not the best.
Trial of Agony is really good when you're really low to the ground like he is. That's actually really nice for him. He's in like the main deck you want to be in to play that card.
He's got double Undead Sprinter,
Shuffle and pass
9
8 cards to your
2-drops
left.
at this point. Really aggressive curve, so this is just a really great way to kind
Please
of
pick
close
up
out
the
the
pack.
game.
You have 20
Normally, you
seconds.
would
Yeah, this
consider
draft
Murder,
has
but
been
it
really
makes
going his
sense
way.
to
Oh,
add
he gets a Tunnel of Hate anyway? Wow. Dude, this guy is so freaking lucky,
He also
dog.
just doesn't need the removal, right?
Picked up a ticket booth there.
Like, I don't think that some of his decisions were very logical, but he's just getting hooked up for no reason. He basically just forced his way into red-black with really no reason to do so, then just got past, like, multiple bombs out of fucking nowhere. And, like, a red-black deck without premium cards is, like, terrible.
Affects the board in a big way.
Ooh, Marina Vendrell. Okay, there's another Tunnel of Hate.
Picked up another one.
That's crazy. Wow. Dude, this is disgusting. This guy is just getting hooked the fuck up. Like, what?
At 3, all of a sudden,
Hold
you're just
up.
playing too many.
Wait a
too
minute.
twos, but
Something ain't right.
fine.
Please pass 6 cards to your left.
Look at this pack.
This pack was ridiculous for him.
This is better than his first 2 packs.
Dude, this guy's playing quick draft, bro.
Oh, that's incredible.
He's literally toggling hacks.
5 seconds.
You're not playing that card. Your deck already has enough playables. He was already at like 16 or 17 playables. I think everything that he got out of this pack goes in.
Okay, sure.
Okay, he's just taking that to stop someone. Cool. So he knew that he had made playables. Wait, is that a Terramorphic? What?
That's Fear of Lost Teeth. Very nice.
5 seconds.
Wait, there was a Terramorphic still in the pack? How? How is that going so late in pack 3? That's ridiculous.
He has 2 or maybe even
Pass
3
4
Wow.
cards to your left.
I probably don't know if I would take the Fear of Lost Teeth. I don't think the second one's that good in his deck. He doesn't have many sack outlets. He just has 2 Final Vengeance and 1 copy of Disturbing Mirth.
Pick up the pack. You have 5 seconds.
I would probably play the Terramorphic. Yeah, he gets another Fear of Lost Teeth. He's not playing 3. Bro, you're not playing 3. Stop lying to yourself. But that pack was literally so rigged for him. He got so rewarded in pack 3. Oh, he might actually put that in his deck.
I think the
Wow.
just makes it in, right? Everything is a
Yeah, that probably makes him to his deck. I think every creature besides Fear of being hunted goes in that category. That's crazy.
Moment here, you'll be receiving a deck
Vicious Clown
registration
played
sheet that
4
already
Fear
has
of
your
Lost
build
Teeth.
table number
Attack you.
in.
So what do you think, Paul?
That
One
was
of the
crazy,
things that
man.
stood out to
Wow.
me, that was a responsible draft by a responsible drafter. Like,
Responsible draft. What was responsible about forcing your way into a color pair that needs essentially signpost cards or rewards for being into it, and then just saying, I'm going to close my eyes and hope I get past a Disturbing Mirth and 2 Undead Sprinter, and then he just does. Like, the packs could have just broken differently, and even if other people weren't taking those cards, they just weren't opened, and he would just have a terrible deck. Like, yeah, you got hooked up in pack 3, but without those 2 Undead Sprinter and the Disturbing Mirth, his deck would just have, like, a lot of mediocre cards and, like, almost no synergies. I mean, he got rewarded, but I wouldn't consider that responsible in any way. I think the most responsible thing to do was he started with a blue card, not just throw away that pick, take Bottomless Pool over Scorching Dragonfire, which is arguably a better card in some circumstances, especially since you're starting with 1 blue card into another one. Had he not started with a blue card, let's say he starts with a green card. Okay, I understand that. Because it's very unlikely that an Unable to Scream and a Scorching Dragonfire are going to end up in the same deck. And at the Pro Tour or the Worlds even, you can't afford to just waste your first pick like that. Like, it's actually crazy how rewarded this guy got for how many picks he just straight up threw away at the first pack of the draft. Like, that's crazy.
the thing that stood out a lot was the mana considerations. You know, the murders that he saw, didn't even look at them.
Don't get me wrong. When he knew that red-black was flowing, he made good decisions. But before it was undecided, I don't think he was being responsible at all.
Final Vengeance goes from a card that maybe makes it into your deck into the best removal spell in your deck. And he ended up with a couple of those, so you just don't want to take that. You actually just want to make sure you prioritize the cheap creatures in your deck, and that's what he did. And of course, with the Razorkin Needlehead, he really wants to play a lot of mountains. So Murder's just going to be sitting in your hand. You're going to have 3 mountains and a swamp in play, and you're going to be like, why did I do this to myself?
Right.
I wish I just had a hand that feeds in play. And Simon,
All right, let's see what this guy's final deck is.
And you're thinking 10-7 is where he was aiming?
Yeah, but you know, it's weird because after pack 3, all of a sudden he got a bunch more black cards. So maybe it might go back to 9-8. We'll see. I think he would have loved a black-red land.
Think about this. I feel like when he was offered that Fear of Lost Teeth, and he already had a copy of it, he also had 2 Tunnel of Hate, so he had, like, fodder for days, and a Percussionist. I 100% think he should have taken that Terramorphic, because remember, he has a Razorkin Needlehead, and he has a Fear of Being Hunted, 2 double red cards. And like Paul Cheon just said, ideally he would like to have, like, a 10-7 split or 11-6 split, and the Terramorphic just drastically increases his chances to be able to play Needlekin on 2, or Fear of Being Hunted on 3, which are 2 of his better cards. Or just be able to play Undead Sprinter on 2, right? Like, I just think that was kind of a miss.
For example, but, you know.
Let's see what he did. We get to take a look at the deck list right now, Paul. Ooh, very low curve. He's actually on 16 lands.
Oh, wow.
9 mountains. The Violent Urge did make it in, by the way. So, and all 3 Fear of Lost Teeth made it in also. Wow. And yeah, there's the Razorkin Needlehead there in the middle of the screen. The Infection, the Mirth, and the Vicious Clown is like his finisher somehow. I guess he's got the rooms for that, but
I mean, I will say, you have
very low curve.
Yeah, very low curve, a bunch of Fear of Lost Teeth. I think.
So overall, I don't think this deck is bad. What I do think, though, is it's kind of bad in terms of, like, if he goes second, I feel like he's going to be at a larger disadvantage, right? Like, it's cool that he's playing 16 lands. I respect that, but I just feel like in this format, maybe it's a little bit more different at the highest level, where decks are just going to be a little bit worse on average. you almost just need to have a super, super premium level of card quality to guarantee success with an aggro deck. Because there's just so many ways to stabilize against aggro in this format. There's so many cards that create tokens. There's so many cards that allow you to manifest dread and like just make wide defensive units even when you're not a go wide deck. Like in green, you know, you can go turn 1 Patchwork Beastie, turn 2 Say Its Name, and now all of a sudden the red-black aggro player is facing down a 3/3 on turn 3. And then they also have, you know, another creature. And it's like, okay, now I have to waste my Final Vengeances or my Scorching Dragonfire to get rid of this 1 mana card that is a 3/3. And the guy has like a Spineseeker Centipede. And the Spineseeker Centipede becomes 3/3 because the guy's deck's good at Delirium. And now all he has to do is stick any medium-sized drop or any like powerful signpost or card that pulls you into a color. And then there's just no way you can win in the grind game, right? And I just feel like he could have had a much better deck by ending up blue-green splashing red and really just trying to take advantage of that first original Unable to Scream pick and not waste that Misty Salon Smoky Lounge that he was gifted. Because he would have ended up with quite a few rooms. You know, he probably could have still afforded to splash 1 or 2 Tunnel of Hates, maybe a Defaced Gallery, if he wanted to, in that blue-green base deck. Just because he could have also gotten 2 Terramorphic Expanse, a blue-green land, I think he would have been overall rewarded way better. Sure, he wouldn't have had any, like, game-ending bombs, but that deck would have had a lot of consistency, and it would have had a really strong late game, which is just something that's my personal preference in this format. But I want to know what you guys think. What did you think about how this draft turned out? Do you think that he made the right decisions? Do you think it would have been better to end up in a blue-green splashing red deck like I do? Or do you think something completely different? Let me know what you think about it. And let me know what you think about Simon's draft down below in the comments. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We're going to be doing another review of the Day 2 draft for Duskmorn. I don't know if that one is going to be live immediately, but it will be coming out either this weekend or sometime next week. So I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching all through the video. If you want to see more awesome card game content in general, make sure to smash the like button, turn post notifications on, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another banger. And as always, if it's not the goo, it's got to go. Peace. All right, well, that was pretty cool. I honestly feel like he could have done a lot better. But, I mean, with the pressure of the situation, you know, he got rewarded in the end. He may have not made the safest decisions, but his deck doesn't look bad, especially for a format where the decks are going to end up being a little bit less powerful on average, a little bit less streamlined. But overall, I think he has a good chance to 3-0, and I'm excited for tomorrow's draft. So I appreciate everybody stopping by. And as well, we're going to have the Reanimator videos. We're going to have the Reanimator video coming out sometime soon as well. So make sure to stay tuned for that. If you're new here, make sure to drop a follow because I'm out here releasing bangers. I'm going to have some in-person card game content coming soon on the channel. Appreciate you guys as always. May the Lord bless you, keep you, bestow his countenance upon you, and give you peace. Have a wonderful weekend.